What up, everybody? Good morning and a happy Friday to you all. DK Show up on the air on your radio dials of 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Also streaming online at sportstalk1051.com. You got your smart devices, your smart speakers. Download that Sports Talk app, take it on the go. Video streams are also up and rolling on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitch, Twitter, all that good stuff. Broadcasting to you from the TDS studios this morning. What do we got on our game plan to wrap up this week? We'll chat a little football. No like preview or keys to victory or anything like that. We're gonna save that for Monday because that's when Green Bay's back in action. However, they did return to practice yesterday for the first time this week in preparation for their game against the Saints. Practiced in the snow and all that good stuff there. Jair Alexander was listed as a full participant in practice again. Reminder, he was also last week, Wednesday and Thursday. So guess we got to wait and see if he actually is going to be able to play this week. So Quay Walker and Javon Bullard were the only two players to not practice yesterday for the Packers. And knock on wood, but I mean, we're in week 16 right now. And when was the last time this might just kind of be, a blanket statement or whatever, but I mean, sure feels like I can't remember the last time we got to a week 16 and we were talking about only two players not practicing for the Packers. Overall, you got to give a big thumbs up to the health of this ball club right now. Hopefully, again, knock on wood, don't want to jinx or anything. Hopefully that continues. So, but saw Matt Schneidman tweet us out yesterday. Quay Walker had a boot on his left foot in a locker room. So more week to week than day to day, as Matt LaFleur said. So honestly, probably don't expect him to at least play against the Saints. We'll see about the next couple weeks here too. So, but overall, fairly healthy. Not fairly healthy, pretty darn healthy heading into week 16 and heading into this Monday Night Football game. So we'll talk some green and gold throughout the morning here as we get set for the game. The Packers are going to be going up against Spencer Rattler. It was announced yesterday that he will start the game for the Saints, and it sounds like Alvin Kamara will not play in the game against the Packers. So we'll hit all that up coming up here in just a little bit. Tonight begins the new college football playoff format. Bowl season has been going on. I'm one of them that's kind of caught up to me and caught me by surprise a little bit. And it's just kind of been a little, obviously with the late Thanksgiving and such everything a little bit later. I think it's kind of caught a lot of people off guard. But we've got the first games of the new college football format. First one tonight, Indiana at Notre Dame. And then tomorrow, SMU, Penn State. You've got Clemson versus Texas. You got Tennessee, Ohio State over there. So we're going to make some picks with that, talk a little college football there. I mean, tomorrow, if you got nothing going on tomorrow, or maybe you're doing some celebrations, Christmas celebrations or whatever, and you're a football fan, tomorrow's a day, maybe just sit in, get some of the shoveling done and sit inside and watch some football and maybe get a couple of TVs up or such, because not only do you have the 3 games in the college football playoff going, you've got a couple NFL games on the docket tomorrow. Houston visiting Kansas City, Pittsburgh visiting Baltimore. That's a huge game, especially if Baltimore wants to push and try to win that division, that AFC North division. So you got a Saturday full up with some football. Might be a good day if you don't have to run around and do any last minute Christmas stuff, Christmas shopping or anything like that, and avoid the traffic and the chaos that it can be. You might want to stay indoors and watch some football over there. Last night we had the Chargers picking up a victory over the Denver Broncos, 34-27. and that's pretty much that. I mean, that is because the Chiefs already won their division, but that's a battle for a little playoff positioning between the two division rivals. And right now, the Chargers holding on to that sixth spot in the playoff chase. Denver now in that final spot, but they got a couple game cushion over the Colts, who are 6-8 right now. So, but yeah, wrapping up quickly here. So we'll talk some college football coming up a little bit later on. College basketball, we've got the Badgers that are going to be in action this weekend before a little break, and beginning their Big Ten portion of schedule coming up in the beginning of January. But they got Detroit Mercy coming up on Sunday before off there for a little bit. So we're going to do some inside the training room with Dr. Crow coming up just past 7 o'clock. So we'll hit that up. We've got some local sports roundup. Mr. Brandon Berg will be joining us after inside the training room, and we'll catch up on the latest from the local sports scene, prep wise, college wise, all that stuff. I know getting some games in before a little bit of a holiday break and such. So we'll do that. We've got we'll probably hit up some more baseball and go through some of the latest rumors and that. I know Twins fans, they lost an outfielder, Kepler, is Max Kepler. Is going to be going over to the Phillies on a 1-year, $10 million deal. I was pretty injured in 2024, so but looking for a little bit of a bounce back year and such. So, but we'll talk some baseball and such. We got cream of the crop. You can make your picks. Who's your cream of the crop? Okay, hit me up with some text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line at 715-830-1912, or you could comment on the various video streams out there. Also, hit us up on the socials if that's a little bit easier for you as well. So, but hey, let's. What else is on your mind too? You can let us know. You can hit me up with the text. Anything else that's on your mind that you want to chat about? Send it on over, baby. All right. Oh, Bucks too. Bucks are back in action. Almost forgot about the Bucks. Bucks are back in action tonight too after winning the NBA Cup, and they've got the Cleveland Cavaliers tonight. The Cleveland Cavaliers, the team that is at the top of the Eastern Conference standings. So that's your reward, Bucks. Get a couple days off, but now you got to go up against the Cleveland Cavaliers. So we'll see. We'll just see how well the Bucks, if they can continue to play some really good basketball, continue to play at a high level. And again, I think this is a stretch, especially outside this Cavaliers matchup that we got coming up here tonight. I think this is a stretch where the Bucks could add up a bunch of wins. So we'll throw some Bucks chat in there too. But let's get things going here this morning. All right, that's your playbook. That's your game plan for us here this morning. We'll take our first break, and then get going with the leadoff here. Join in on the convo. I want to hear from you on this Friday morning. All right, hit me up with some of those texts. 715-830-1912. Quick break. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. Doing any last-minute Christmas shopping? Well, you better head over to our good friends at Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. Whether it's getting some food supplies for making some Christmas dinner, or maybe you're looking for some stocking stuffers, or just some other gift ideas going on. Hy-Vee's got you covered. You can, if you got a sports fan in your life, you can check out their team shop, their sports shop over there. Get some swag for your favorite high school team, local college team like the Badgers, Blue Gold. You've got your pro teams over there as well. You can check it out. Otherwise, they've got right now, if you go and they get a full, ton of different gift cards for different locations like Amazon and or wherever. But if you go there and you pick up $100 worth of gift cards, you're going to get a $10 gift card for every $100 you spent on participating gift cards. Today only, though. Okay, today only. So better get on over there today and take advantage of that. I'm looking at a photo right now that they posted up on their. Literally, they just posted up on Facebook 20 minutes ago. I mean, you got some Starbucks up there. You've got some food places over there too. So go check it out. Take advantage of that. Gift cards. Not sure what to get that person in your life. That's a perfect item over there from our good friends at Hy-Vee. So, all right, let's get things rocking and rolling here this morning, shall we? Let's begin a little Green Bay. So Matt LaFleur chatted with the local media yesterday, and some of the comments or stuff. So I know yesterday we were talking a little bit about the whole, and I'll be honest, I'm not gonna. I don't mean to bring this up every single time or every day in the last few days, but the Rogers documentary, I didn't even get to finish the second episode yesterday. I didn't even try, but yesterday there was that thing that was kind of spiraling. We brought it up, but it was thrown out there that apparently Matt LaFleur in the doc, and I haven't seen it. I saw a clip of it. Talked about how Ted Thompson made a point, or Ted Thompson said Jordan Love was too good to pass up, and kind of gave the impression that was it Ted Thompson that had a big say in drafting Jordan Love. Matt LaFleur said, no. He said, Matt LaFleur tried to clarify it yesterday, said, I don't remember saying that, but apparently I did. I don't know if they cut it up. I think what we were trying to do was draw parallels to Ted drafting Aaron and Goody drafting Jordan. I don't know how it got edited or whatnot, but Ted Thompson had nothing to do with the drafting of Jordan Love. Ooh, little conspiracy stuff, the whole throwing it out there, cutting it up and edited sort of stuff. So now you got some drama flowing out with that. It's like, for crying out loud, can we just I don't know. But anyways, let's move from that. But I had to throw that out there because that was a thing out there yesterday. Other stuff from Matt LaFleur. How about stuff that's actually on the field and game wise? He had some high praise for his quarterback, Jordan Love, yesterday, saying, quote, this is the best ball that he has played. Just when I look at all the little things in terms of his ability to manipulate the pocket when he's under duress, getting the ball to his checkdowns or whatever it may be, I think he's playing at a really high level. So I mean that's pretty darn high praise considering what we saw from Jordan Love last year, right? In that second half of the season where you can make the argument, you can make a case that was he playing as the best quarterback in the league or what easily probably top 5 in the league. And you don't really hear that narrative surrounding Love and his play right now. And I think, you find people in there, yeah, they're going to say definitely playing a lot better in the second half than what he has in the first half this year. But you haven't really heard, well, is it better than last year in that second half of the season? And maybe it's just because, again, kind of the thing we threw out a couple days ago, is it that notion of he's just kind of set the bar high, or he set the level at a certain point to where you expect greatness, or you expect really good play out of him. And from what we've seen in the last few weeks, it's maybe just kind of Is it already getting to the point of like, yeah, that's what we expect. That's the norm, if you will. Love right now has had a 100 plus passer rating in each of his last 5 games. That would be weeks 11 through 15. Only Aaron Rodgers has had a longer streak by a Packers quarterback since 1950. Love only had one game with a 100 plus passer rating from weeks 1 through 10 at the beginning of this season. That was week 6 against the Cardinals of Arizona. Obviously, I think a lot of it has to do with probably healthy now. I think that's where a lot of it comes from. I don't know if there's a narrative out there that people are throwing out there. I'm sure there is. I mean, the social media world it's nuts. It's crazy. And I'm sure it's been thrown out there as a possibility or thrown out there as a theory, I should say, that maybe Jordan Love's just a better second half quarterback. And we're basing it off of his second year. But I would argue, I think this year you have to look at it, and the guy was banged up in that first half, and you could finally tell in Chicago that all right, he looked more healthy. Philadelphia plays the whole game up until the last couple snaps, knee injury, misses a couple games, comes back Minnesota, he's got the brace on. Then he's dealing with a groin injury, has to leave the game early in Jacksonville. In Detroit, you can kind of tell, a little bit that maybe was bothering him. But then after that bye, and then you come back from Chicago, and lo and behold, that's week 11 when this stretch has just happened. So I don't think I necessarily buy, and I know people are having fun with it with the Toyota-thon concept. Everybody's probably saw that. The Toyota-thon yearly sale sort of thing. Packers quarterback shines, during it. So people are having fun with it. It's cute. It's creative and such. But I think a lot of it is just boiling down to it's his health, and he's not maybe overcompensating or trying to protect himself a little bit too much, whether it's the knee or whether it's the groin, that sort of thing. But and I think it's part that, but the other part is the dude is just playing better. He's taking care of the football a whole lot better. He's protecting, you know, uh, not throwing a lot of picks. In fact, hasn't been throwing any picks at this point in time. And the dude hasn't taken any sacks too, and that's a credit to the offensive line. But I think that's also a credit to the quarterback position. Not sitting back there and just getting the ball out of their hands. I mean, again, not to draw parallels or comparisons or anything like that, but let's go to the Rodgers era. What was I think a big gripe for a lot of Packers fans at that point in time was like, throw the dang football, get rid of the football, stop taking the sacks. And now you kind of have there's a interesting notion out there is there's some I don't know if this is going to catch on, and it probably isn't, but remember, like a couple years ago, a few years ago, there was a debate. It was just kind of a fun debate. Is our quarterback wins a stat? And now I've been seeing our quarterback sacks or our sacks a quarterback stat because there is times, and I think Aaron was one of those guys when he was a quarterback that when he got sacked, it's fair to say it probably wasn't the offensive line's fault. You're holding on to the football for how long back there and not getting rid of it. I think it's fair to say there were some sacks he took, not all, but there were some sacks he took that wasn't necessarily the offensive line's fault and such. But Love is doing a fantastic job, you know, getting rid of the football, being careful with the football. There's still a couple throws. There's still a couple throws each game. I think we're all kind of like, oh, that was close. What exactly were you looking at over there too? But I also, it's maybe a kind of a tripod here too of health. He's just straight up playing better. And then it's the running game. I think this is where I draw parallels to last year in Jordan Love's play in the second half. I don't think it's a coincidence either that last year in that second half, where how well Jordan Love was playing, Aaron Jones was running the football pretty darn well too. Aaron Jones was having success running the football. I mean, there was a stretch, how many in a row, was over 100 yards on the ground. Josh Jacobs, for the most, has been running the football very well throughout this season. But I think too, where you started to see a little bit, even before week 11, but a huge commitment to running the football, more so than last year in that second half. This is more of a commitment to handing that ball off and giving it to Josh Jacobs. So I think it's, you play it hand in hand. It's health, it's the commitment to run the football, having success running the football there, and just overall quality of play. You could throw offensive line play in there too. So is he playing the best he's ever this stretch? Is this the best he's ever played? Matt LaFleur thinks so. Maybe it is. It's not getting the recognition like it was last year, but I also think it was because first year for Jordan Love starts off the first half where it was like, meh, and then the incredible bounce back afterwards. I think that's why a big reason you saw a lot of talk, a lot of praise, and a lot of like, wow. Uh, excuse me, a lot of like, holy crap, who is this guy sort of stuff? Because it was a complete 180 from Jordan Love's play from last year. So, looking at this game against the Saints, the Packers are huge favorites. The last I saw was 13.5, but I wouldn't be surprised if it moved up a little bit more. Let me see if I can bring it up here in time. With the news, Spencer Rattler going to be the starter. Alvin Kamara is probably not going to be playing in this game. So I got to imagine is that line moved up here a little bit? It has a little, like half, it looks like. I saw 13.5. It looks, the one I'm looking at now says 14, so maybe a half there. So I think, the biggest thing when you look at this matchup, and again, we'll kind of do keys to victory, key matchups, and that on Monday before the game starts. I think there's probably going to be some fans worrying about don't play down your competition. This is straight up a game where Green Bay is the more talented team. They are clearly the better team. You're playing at home. I don't know if weather's going to be a factor over there or not. You got a dome team coming over. This should be, I hate to say this word, a comfortable win for Green Bay. There's no reason why Green Bay doesn't come out Monday night winning this game. There isn't. And you hope that Green Bay doesn't overlook it, doesn't play down in the competition. I want to see Green Bay come into this game and just lay the hammer down, dominate it like we've seen, some Detroit games and such. I know there's no style points. Okay, I know there's no style points. That you don't get extra credit for that. But I think there's a big chunk of the fan base that would be maybe feel a little bit more comfortable with this team heading into the postseason if they were to just beat up on a little opponent, an inferior opponent, and just, take their lunch money and say, good night, pack it up, get out of here. I think there's a big chunk of the Packers fan base be like, okay, nah, we got that game. We got that. Because there's been games where you felt comfortable. I think for a lot of us, Seattle, we kind of felt a little comfortable, a little confident in the first half. Maybe it started to wane a little bit in the second half where you're like, okay, enough screwing around. Just put this thing away. And I'm one of those two. I'll admit, I want to see a domination on Monday. It doesn't matter in the win-loss column, but you kind of want to see a team that's going to compete for a championship. I want to go see them just, put the hammer down against this Saints team. I know style points don't mean anything, and they shouldn't. They absolutely shouldn't. But I do think it would make a fan base, and I do think it would make some fans a little bit more confident in their team if they were able to just hammer it down and not play down to that competition. And then it'll be interesting if Green Bay, man, you look at the schedule coming up here for these last three, there's going to be some scoreboard watching in this thing. Because you look at this NFC NFC race right now. I, I've been seeing this. I don't know if I'm willing to do this just based off how they've looked the last couple weeks, but I've seen quite a few people picking the Bears to beat the Lions this weekend. And I know Detroit's incredibly banged up on defense, and they're going to Chicago. I don't know if I'm ready to do that though. I don't know if I'm ready to do that. But let's just say that somehow the Bears pull off this miracle. A little dramatic there, but if the Bears put off or pull this off and beat the Lions on Sunday, give the Lions their third loss. You've got Minnesota visiting Seattle. That's going to be an afternoon game. Sounds like Geno Smith and Kenneth Walker are going to be playing in that game for Seattle. I mean, there's a chance Minnesota starts that game with a chance to take the division lead, or if both those teams lose, if somehow Minnesota and Detroit both still lose, things could get a little bit more interesting in these final couple weeks here. Tell you what, I'm going to take a little bit of a quick break here. I'm going to bring up the NFL playoff machine and just kind of go with a scenario I'm playing out in my head. Is there still a chance that Green Bay, I don't know about a one seed, but is there still a chance that they can get maybe a two, potentially a two up there? Let me play around with this here a little bit because I think these next 3 weeks for a division that has just been so dominant this year, the NFC North, there's some intriguing matchups coming up here. Let's have a little fun with this. All right, we'll take a quick break, and we'll be back here in just a few minutes. If you're still looking for that gift for that hunter in your life, you better make a quick visit to our good friends at Tilden Gun. All right. Whether it's maybe you're looking for a new deer rifle for that deer hunter in your life, or maybe a new shotgun for the turkey hunter, maybe some accessories like a scope or whatnot, go give them a visit. 12427 90th Avenue, Chippewa Falls. Sweet setup over there by Tilden Gun. Sean and Hunter do a fantastic job over there. Don't forget, if you are having any luck, maybe doing some ice fishing or doing some trapping or maybe some late season bow hunting or whatever the case may be, send us those photos so we can put them up on our photo gallery at sportstalk1051.com. Just click on the outdoors tab over there. So I was playing a little bit around with the playoff machine here. Now, very basic picks. I didn't pick any of the other games here because I don't know if tiebreakers would come into play here. So don't take it to the bank. Don't full on quote this, but it looks like the only way Green Bay could jump up into a top seed here. Let me just do this part. Where are we at here? Okay, so I mean the only way Green Bay technically is still alive for a 1 or a 2 seed. But if this is all on the up and up, again, I didn't make every pick. So like obviously Green Bay would have to win out. Seattle would have to beat Minnesota. Chicago would have to beat Detroit this weekend. Green Bay would have to beat Minnesota next weekend. The 49ers would have to beat the Lions next week. And then it looks like week 18, Minnesota and Detroit would have to tie. Then Green Bay could potentially get in there. So, yeah, probably not going to happen, right? Probably not going to happen. But telling me there's a chance. Wouldn't that be something on the final game of the regular season? In a game that if everything played out to that way, where, Detroit, let's say, loses their next 2, Minnesota loses their next 2, and then they get into the final game and Green Bay wins their next 2, and they get into the final game, and the winner between Detroit and Minnesota probably going to get the 2 seed or a top seed there. Green Bay could get a 1 seed too if Philly would happen to lose out and such. But that would be hilarious if it would end in a tie. Week 18. That would be hilarious. And then Green Bay vaults into a top seed over them. That'd be flipping fantastic. Not going to happen. 99% sure that's not going to happen, but there's that 1% that it could all play out here too. So, and I know there's some chatter out there saying I really hope we don't have to play so and so, and I'm guilty of that too in the last couple of weeks. I'm like, oh, maybe I'd rather be the 5 seed, so you go up against the AFC South team, and then it switched to like, okay, maybe I want to be the 6, and you go up to the AFC West. At this point, there's so much movement around there. I don't care anymore. I don't care. There's so much that's going to be decided here in the next 3 weeks that it's going to be like, it's not going to do your health or your stress level or yourself any good trying to follow this along and such. But there is, I mean, I'll be doing a ton of scoreboard watching in this thing, knowing that if Green Bay makes the postseason, they're probably going to be around that 6 seed, maybe with a shot to get to that 5th seed over there, maybe, possibly, who knows? So, yeah, I'll be paying attention to the AFC West and the AFC South. I mean, if you're looking at it, you've got, obviously, we know Seattle's taking on Minnesota this weekend. Other games of note, you got the Rams visiting the Jets. Aaron Rodgers, if you don't want the Packers to play the Rams in that secondary, can Aaron Rodgers help out his former team there and lead them to a win? You got the Cardinals. They're still in it. You throw them. They're going up against Carolina. Then the 49ers are visiting the Dolphins. The NFC South here, I mean, I think that's Tampa Bay's, but who knows? Maybe something weird can happen. So really, I feel like the only division race that's up there that you can kind of still watch in the NFC that would potentially affect your playoff matchups, and that would be that NFC West there. I suppose if there was a team that I didn't want to play in the NFC West, if we kind of phrase it that way, I'm I'm still a little bit nervous going up against the Rams. 49ers would make me nervous just because of past history and such. But I think the Rams in that secondary would make me a little bit more nervous. But nonetheless, hey, we'll talk some more football coming up a little bit later on throughout the program here as we get set for Monday night with Packers taking on the Saints. We'll be doing a lot of that talk on Monday from the VFW when we do our Festivus episode and such. But tonight's college football, the new college football playoff format is set to begin with Indiana versus Notre Dame. I want your picks. I want your final four picks, and I want your championship matchup and your championship pick. So pretend this is like March Madness, but it's December Madness here with the college football playoff. Don't just give me the winners for these games. Give me your final four. Text me your final four, and then text me your championship. Okay? Who do you got going in this thing? A quick reminder on the bracket here. So you got Indiana and Notre Dame. Okay? The winner's going to take on Georgia in the All-State Sugar Bowl. You've got Penn State versus SMU. That winner's going to be taking on Boise State in the Fiesta Bowl. Or Tennessee, Ohio State, a 9-8 matchup. That winner, you get Oregon in the Rose Bowl. And then Clemson versus Texas. That winner takes Arizona State in the Peach Bowl. Give me your Final Four. Give me your champions. I think there's some good games this weekend. I'm definitely intrigued with the Indiana and Notre Dame one. Does Indiana kind of use the chip on their shoulder? Because I know they're kind of saying they should be higher than a 10 seed and such. But I think that's going to be a good game tonight. And what a fantastic game for kind of the tip off to the college football. At least I hope it lives up to that expectation. I know Notre Dame's the more well-known program, the bigger program, if you will, and that. And I know I was reading some stuff online that, is Indiana going to show their true colors and get dominated and all that? But I mean, can't you say the same thing about Notre Dame when they get to the postseason or get to the playoffs and that? It's like they've always been a regular season team in the last how many years, and then when they get to a bowl game, it's like, hey, no, thanks for showing up at least. But there's some. I think my favorite matchup, though, if I'm really intrigued with that Ohio State Tennessee game. I'm going to throw out a weird scenario. What if Ohio State loses to Tennessee? If Ohio State loses to Tennessee, would they actually let go of their head coach, Ryan Day, after losing to Michigan? And then if they would lose their first game, would they move on? And the reason I bring this up because you got a guy out there that used to be a coordinator who's looking for a job right now, and his name is Mike Vrabel. He used to be your defensive coordinator a few years back. Would Ohio State look at that situation and be like, okay, you haven't been able to beat Michigan the last few years. And this year was pretty embarrassing. And then you don't win the first game in the college football playoff. Would they actually make that move? And then would they try to bring in Mike Vrabel, bring Mike Vrabel back to the Buckeye family over there? I'm curious. I think there's a lot of pressure on Ryan Day and a lot of pressure on Ohio State in this game against Tennessee. I know they're favored by 7.5 in this thing. But if Tennessee can pull this off, if I'm Ryan Day, I'm feeling a little nervous. I'm feeling some pressure on me. So I'm looking at that game. I just think, honestly, you can make some good arguments for a lot of these games. I think, if anything, and I know it's the line is bigger for that one, Texas, Clemson. Texas is favored by 12. That one might be the least closest. I know what the line says it too, but just kind of looking at, because I could see, I'm looking at everybody's talking about Penn State having the easiest path to get to the Final Four, but I think SMU can give them a little bit of a run if they play up to their level. And if Indiana continues to do what they were doing all season long, that could be a fun matchup going up against Notre Dame too. But who do you got in the Final Four? Okay. And your reminder, your teams with byes are Oregon, Georgia, Boise State, and Arizona State. So We'll talk some more college football though with one of our dudes, college football, Brandon Berg over there. So we'll hit that up coming up in the next hour or so as well. Let's catch up on some texts here to the Shoe Doctors bullpen line as we finish up the first hour this morning. This is from Dave. Dave, a little bit earlier when we are talking some green and gold, said the level of expectation for Jordan Love has absolutely gotten very high. Not as high as probably as it was for Aaron Rodgers when he was playing at his peak, but there is a expectation now for Jordan Love for him week in and week out to play at a high level. And if he just plays a little bit below that, even though it could be a great game for others, if it's a little bit below a level that we have seen from Love over the years, people think he hasn't put together a good game. Okay. I appreciate the text. Yeah. I think it's gotten to that point. I would agree. I don't think it's at an Aaron Rodgers level yet to where, if he threw for, I don't know, 290 and 3 touchdowns, an interception or something like that, people are like, what the heck is wrong with him? I don't think it's at that level yet, but there is definitely a baseline. There is definitely a level, a certain point where we've seen enough games from Love in the first couple of years now, more so in the second half of these 2 years, that he has played at that high level more than just a game or two. He has done it consistently in the second half, that if he dips a little bit below that, you kind of like, dude, what's wrong? Or he had a little bit of a poor game. And then you look at the numbers, because I feel like when we've watched Jordan Love in this second half of the year, even though Matt LaFleur said that he has played his best ball that he has seen, is it fair to say that there's times though when we've watched him in this 5-game stretch from week 11 to week 16? Is it fair to say in those stretch of games, those 5 games, even though he's had a quarterback rating of over 100 in each one of those, where there's just like, uh, you know, kind of thought maybe a little bit more or expected a little bit more? Like, you just felt like, was he at his best? That's probably the best way to say it. When you're watching those 5 games, even though he was playing better, wasn't there always like a little bit like, yeah, still didn't feel like he maybe played his best game? That's that feeling, because he set that bar so incredibly high. You go to Chicago, I mean, he only threw the ball 17 times. He was 13 of 17, 261, a touchdown and a pick. That wasn't even his lowest quarterback rating. He had a 113. San Francisco, 13 of 23, buck 63, 2 touchdowns, quarterback rating of a 107.7. That was his lowest in this stretch. Miami, 21 of 28, 274, 2 touchdowns, 129.2. That was his highest. Detroit, 12 of 20, 206 yards, 1 touchdown, quarterback rating of a 111.7. Seattle, this previous one, 20 of 27, 229, 123.8 quarterback rating, 2 touchdowns. So even during this 5-game stretch, Jordan Love has not thrown the football for over 300 yards, which probably doesn't get talked about. It's interesting depending on which quarterback you're talking about, because for the longest time there was this talk, and I get it, there was a bigger sample size and the streak was longer, but there was this talk like, whoa, Aaron Rodgers hasn't thrown a 300-yard game in a long time, even when he was still with Green Bay. But I just think this offense is a little bit different. It operates a little bit different than what they operated in the second half of last year. I don't want to necessarily see Jordan Love go out there and throw the ball for over 30 times, 35 times. I don't want to see that, because I feel like then that would be in a situation where maybe you're playing a little catch up, maybe you're playing from behind and such, and you're getting away from what you've been doing incredibly well all season long, and that's running the football. Looking at Jordan Love's second half of last year right now, let's start it off with that Chargers game. Okay. Threw the ball 40 times. Thanksgiving against Detroit, 32 times. Kansas City, 36 times. The loss against the Giants in the DeVito game, 39 times. They lost 24-22. Followed up with a loss against Tampa Bay. Remember that game where Baker was just on fire? Didn't he have a perfect quarterback rating? They lost 34-20, 39 times he threw. Carolina, 33-30 victory. He threw 28 times. Minnesota, 33 times. Chicago, 32 times. He was throwing the ball a whole lot more in those games than what we have seen him as of late. The most passing attempts he had was against Miami, 28. 28. Hasn't cracked 30 in his last few weeks here. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. The last time he threw for, Detroit, that first game against Detroit, 39 times. 39 times. 22 against Jacksonville, but remember he left the ball game early. Houston, he threw 33 times. Arizona, he threw 32 times. Minnesota threw 54 times. The only other game where he didn't leave early in that first half where he threw for under 30 pass attempts was against the Rams, and he had 26 in that one. So, all right. Shot clock's going to cut me off here in just a couple minutes. So we'll begin the next hour with some Inside the Training Room with Dr. Crow. We'll catch up on the latest injuries in the world of sports. So we'll hit that up. Then we've got Brandon joining us here. We'll get back to some more football talk. Evan, I'll answer that question coming up in the next hour, so I have a little bit more time. So we'll get to that. We'll talk some baseball, Brandon. We'll talk some more college football, talk some more football in general. Bucks also back in action tonight, taking on the Cleveland Cavaliers. First game since winning the NBA Cup. It's not even halfway through the season yet, so we can't even say the second half of the season begins tonight. But nonetheless, the Bucks are a team that's on the roll right now. Can they continue this? I think there's an opportunity here, especially after tonight's game. There's an opportunity for this Bucks team to rack up a bunch of wins, and they do it. We'll do some local sports roundup with B as well. Also coming up, cream of the crop. Who are your cream of the crops? Okay, who are your cream of the crops? Think about it. Hit me up with the text or comment on the video stream. Who's your cream of the crop from this past week? Okay. There's got to be somebody or something, right? There's got to be some. Maybe it's as simple as Giannis or Dame or the Bucks in general. Doc Rivers, just throwing out examples out there. Okay, think about it. Join in on the fun. All right. Text us who your cream of the crop is. I think we'll get to ours just past 8 o'clock here this morning. Okay, and then we'll get back to more of your texts. Got a couple more to catch up on regarding Jordan Love and the Packers and such. So again, we're going to hold off on the keys to victory, key matchups that we normally do on a Friday since they play Monday night. We're going to hold that off until Monday when we're doing the program, our Festivus program from the VFW Post 305 on Star Avenue. One in, we got a couple more to go here. Stick around. We got some news updates, and then we'll kick off the second hour with Dr. Crow, Triple Valley Orthopedics Sports Medicine, a little inside the training room coming up after these quick words.
Variable clouds head our way with temperatures dipping to the low single digits. For tomorrow, clouds return, highs near 20, warming up near 30 on Sunday with a chance at some snow on Monday. I'm 13 First Alert meteorologist Mike D'Andrea.
Bird flu is still a challenge across the country. Let's take a look at that update and more in our farm news this morning on Sports Talk 105.1 and AM 790. Cases of the H5N1 avian influenza virus continue to pop up across the country, with most of the recent cases in poultry flocks. Besides reporting that a backyard poultry flock in Kenosha County tested positive for the virus earlier this week, federal animal health officials also reported 3 positive tests in chickens and turkeys in flocks in Iowa. In California, the number of bird flu outbreaks has jumped from 70,000 birds in September to over 11.5 million birds in December. Nationally, bird flu outbreaks have skyrocketed to 11.7 million this month. Outbreaks are being reported in all parts of the country. The 2024 fall corn crop in the U.S. was the third highest on record, with the highest kernel weight in the 14-year history of the Corn Harvest Quality Report. This year's crop came in at 15.143 billion bushels, even though planted acres were down a little bit this year. Crop is going into the marketing channels with over 89% of the crop meeting standards for number 1 corn and just over 98% meeting standards for number 2 corn quality. Bushel weights are just under 59 pounds, the highest value ever seen in these reports. More money is headed for the country from the Biden administration through the regional agricultural promotion programs. Grants totaling $300 million are going to 67 agricultural commodity groups to help them diversify export markets in regions like Africa, Latin America, the Caribbean, and Southeast Asia. The past 3 years, similar grants have helped commodity groups increase sales to those areas by posting the highest sales values in 2021, 2022, and 2023. The breakdown shows the American Soybean Association will get the most grant money this time, $25 million. The U.S. Meat Export Federation getting $19.5 million. The Cranberry Institute will get $1.5 million to help promote their exports and marketings in other countries. That's a look at farm news this morning on Sports Talk 105.1 and AM 790. I'm Bob Bosold.
Score deep discounts and deeper sleep during Mattress Firm's semi-annual sale and clearance. Get up to 60% off select mattresses and more. Plus, get a free adjustable base on qualifying purchases.
Ladies and gentlemen, sports aficionados and armchair quarterbacks, welcome to the Dan Casper Show, where sports passion meets expert analysis. Dan's encyclopedic knowledge and infectious passion for all things sports is both impressive and sad.
I have many leather-bound books.
So get ready to laugh, cheer, and maybe even facepalm a few times.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
It's the Dan Casper Show.
Second hour on this Friday morning coming at ya. A big thanks for tuning in wherever, however you may be tuning in from. Broadcasting from the TDS Sports Talk studios here this morning. We're going to do some local sports roundup with Mr. Brandon Berg coming up a little bit later on. We'll talk some college football, make our picks for the first round of the college football playoffs. Begins tonight with Indiana and Notre Dame. Get to some hoops talk, all that fun stuff. But we begin this hour, as we usually do every Friday, catching up with our doctor.
Paging Dr. Crow. Breaking down the latest in sports injuries. It's time for Inside the Training Room with Dr. Crow. On the Dan Casper Show.
He is Dr. Austin Crow, Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, joining us here this morning. Austin, you all shoveled out and everything after yesterday, bud?
Absolutely. Rocking and rolling.
Attaboy. Well, let's begin here. I want to start off with Nick Chubb, because obviously last year we saw that, was it last year or the year before, that really gruesome knee injury that he suffered, but now he only lasted 8 games this year because he has a broken foot. Now, can you remind me when it comes to broken feet or a broken foot, are those tricky for recovery because of the blood supply or the blood flow in your feet?
It depends on which bone is involved. So there are a couple bones in the feet that do not have the world's best blood supply, specifically the navicular and sometimes the cuboid. Those are what are we call midfoot bones. The forefoot and the hindfoot, so the toes, the metatarsals, and then in the back of the calcaneus, so that has good blood supply. The talus doesn't either. So it depends on which one's involved. Majority of quote foot fractures are going to be metatarsal injuries. I don't know if they said what his was because I saw them talk about a quote foot injury, but I don't think I saw specifically what bone was involved. One other one that can be tricky is the fifth metatarsal, a specific area in it that's called the Jones fracture, which is a pretty well-known one that strikes athletes pretty frequently. That one does actually have a blood supply issue as well. So the answer is possible. The question is exactly where is it? And that will have a huge bearing on not only the prognosis, but how you actually treat it. So a lot of foot fractures, you can throw them in a boot, sometimes you can let them walk right off the bat. Other times you're talking surgery and like non-weight bearing for 6 weeks. So very big difference depending on where the injury is and what bone's involved.
David Montgomery, I mean, the Lions, I mean, there's a ton of players just dropping like flies right now on the injury side, right? But David Montgomery, initially it was that he was going to be done for the year with an MCL injury. But now there's maybe a little bit more optimism. I was reading from NFL.com from Ian Rapport earlier this morning. It said after consulting with several experts over the past few days, he is not going to have surgery and instead is going to rehab the MCL injury with the hope to return in the postseason. So, first of all, I mean, that several experts was when people or when doctors get into a situation like that, do they normally do they talk to each other? Do they come up with a game plan or what's when people go for second or third opinions, what is that process kind of like? Do you know?
Yeah. So occasionally, generally more, we will do it independently. So, I mean, that happens at, professional level and even, high school or just kind of quote regular people level. People get a second opinion because they're not comfortable either with what was told to them or maybe the rapport they had with the provider. There's a number of reasons people will seek second opinions, but in this case, at these pro athletes, it's not rare. I mean, these guys will get multiple opinions pretty commonly. When it comes to MCL injuries, I feel like this has been a real common injury this year, at least because it's been some high-profile people. MCLs, they can be a nasty injury, no doubt about it, but the MCL does have a really good ability to heal itself. There are a couple reasons where no matter what, and you go to 10 surgeons, you get the same answer from all 10 of them, where we think surgery makes sense. But a lot of them, that's not the case. Now, there is that gray area where you have a high-grade MCL in an athlete, and you're saying, look, we think that we're going to be able to optimize the recovery by going in there and repairing it. Being that the concern is if you don't repair it, it becomes loose long-term. And if you don't fix it right away, which would be a repair, then you have to reconstruct it. And that's kind of semantics, but it is a big difference surgically speaking. So a repair, we will grab the ligament that's there, the MCL, and tack it back down to the bone to its native insertion. If we do a reconstruction, that ligament's kind of wilted away, for lack of a better term, and we have to take a graft and put in a whole new one in there. So it's kind of putting in a new structure. And those can work well, and we do them, and I do them, but I will tell you, it's not as good as repair. So my guess is that's what the debate has been, is like, do we repair it now, or do we try to rehab it and cross our fingers that it heals well? That is a bit of a gamble, because if it doesn't, if he stays loose, then the knee won't be stable. Then he's going to have a late reconstruction. But at the end of the day, if he has surgery now or tries to ride out and it doesn't work, either way, this season would be in jeopardy. That option does give him the chance of, hey, it does heal. He's able to get back in that 4 to 6 week window. I mean, obviously that's going to be well into the playoffs if he's 6 weeks down the line. By then they'll probably have lost to the Vikings, so it won't matter. So.
Awesome. So this might be just kind of a dumb question, but if you're not an athlete, if obviously you're not playing a sport for a living, and you tear your MCL or even your ACL, is it a must to get it surgically repaired if it's just like me or somebody?
Yeah, well, with you, no, we've never figured out. So, with MCL, we actually, even in athletes, a lot of times we treat them conservatively, so without surgery. Now, there are reasons why we will, especially if there's other injuries. I mean, that's really the most common reason is we say, okay, you have an ACL and MCL, or a PCL and MCL, or an MCL and a bad meniscus, where there's reasons where we're going to say, all right, let's consider doing that at the same time. But even in those settings, often we can treat it non-operatively. ACLs are different. ACL does not have a great healing potential. And the instability related to the ACL, it's not just side to side, which is predominantly what the MCL controls. It's rotational instability. And that creates a much more dramatic movement in the knee. So people out there who've had their ACLs injured or are living without an ACL will tell you the knee will do this big shift and clunk move. We call it a pivot shift. And that is really damaging to the knee. So to answer your question, our governing body, the AAOS, has made a recommendation that anyone under the age of 40, if you tear your ACL, even if you're not an athlete, get it reconstructed. If you're over 40, we do it in select cases where people are putting high demand on their knee and need to be able to cut and pivot. But there are some people who, I mean, even just walking, the knee is unstable without an ACL, and that's just not the case with the MCL. So each ligament is very different. We do take it on a case-by-case basis. But, yeah, we always say, look, can we treat this without surgery? And if that's an option or there's a way to do it, we always try to do that, because surgery is no fun for anybody. But unfortunately, there are times where surgery is definitely the right option.
Right. Absolutely. Speaking of, you mentioned PCL. We've talked about this guy for a little bit, Jair Alexander. So it was kind of weird last week. He was a full participant at practice Wednesday and Thursday. Then he didn't practice at all Friday. And Matt LaFleur said he just didn't look like he was ready to go. And yesterday, he's back to being a full participant at practice, but I have no idea if he's going to, play this week or anything like that. So when it almost sounded like, did he have a setback, or when you hear a coach say he just doesn't look like he's ready to go, but then a few days later, he's back as a full participant at practice. When it comes to a PCL injury like that, is it just more of a nagging thing, or what are your thoughts on that?
My assumption is that he's going back out in the field, right? So like pregame warmups, we do that with athletes all the time. I mean, probably the most common one would be like a sprained ankle, for example. So you have an injury and you say, okay, it's not dangerous, so we're safe to play, but can you participate at a level that's satisfactory to yourself and the coaching staff? So we do that even at the high school level. So we have kids get out there in the field and run around and say, how's it feel? And they'll sometimes come back and say, not good. Or they'll tell you it's doing okay, but you watch it run and you're like, nah, that's not going to cut it. Because, I mean, the difference in these athletes, especially when you're talking about the NFL level, I mean, if he's playing at 80%, 80% is not going to be good enough. So he may say he's feeling good enough and participate, and the coaching staff could have been the ones that watched him run and said, look, you're coming out of your breaks, and it is not okay. And you're not going to be able to cover guys. I mean, covering NFL wide receivers might be the hardest job in the world. Mm-hmm. So you have to be feeling good. So, they never disclosed who made that decision. But I'm guessing it could have been a combination of either him saying it didn't feel right, or the staff watching him and saying, look, it just doesn't look like you're ready to go yet. And so it is, yeah. I mean, at that point, it does, to use your term, a nagging injury. I mean, it's not dangerous. I mean, the PCL, again, PCL does have the ability to heal in as opposed to the ACL, for example. So we do give it time and say, look, some of those fibers are going to tighten up, and the leg gets stronger and it recovers from the injury itself. So it's multifactorial, but when we get back, there is a lot of that. So my guess is it's going to be the exact same thing this week. Get him out in the field, do warm-ups, start running, start cutting, start jumping. How does it feel? If it's a green light from all parties involved, he plays. If it's not, then you pump the brakes and say, all right, let's take a run at this next week. And that happens sometimes.
Interesting. Just a couple more quarterbacks here. Geno Smith. So last week we saw him get banged up and leave the game early against the Packers. It looked like, I think a lot of people thought maybe it was an ankle injury at first, getting tripped up, but it ended up being a knee injury, and he wasn't able to go back out there. But it sounds like he's going to be able to potentially play against your Vikings coming up here. Mm-hmm. So when you see that, I mean, it looked like an ankle injury at first, but then they said it was a knee. Could that be a potential MCL injury with Geno, or?
Yeah. I mean, certainly that is a possibility. I mean, because it did look kind of like almost like that kind of twisting rotation type thing. So hard to say for sure. I mean, they didn't disclose what it was. It does sound like he's ready to play. I mean, when you talk about like a low grade sprain to a knee, I mean, MCL is probably the most common. So that has got to be high on the list of potential injuries. And again, as it's the ligament du jour here, that's an injury that we can play through. I mean, if people feel good enough, and it's lower grade, which his clearly was. So it'll be interesting to see how he plays. I mean, he's always been a quarterback that at least at times uses his feet. So he may be a little bit limited in that regard. And certainly with the Vikings style on defense, we like to blitz and mix up blitz packages. I mean, he's going to have to probably be a little bit mobile. So we'll see if that's adequate. But at the end of the day, it may be just what we were talking about with Jair, is get out in the field, run around, throw the ball, move. How's it feeling? I'm ready to go. Let's go. Because there are plenty of athletes who will say, yeah, I'm ready to go out and play. And then, like I said, they actually try it and it doesn't go as well as they hope. I mean, there's always that element of like what your brain thinks you can do and what your body can actually do. That sometimes doesn't always match up.
And then finally, I mean, apparently this guy, doesn't matter if he has high ankle sprains or not, but Patrick Mahomes is apparently going to play. I mean, he was a full participant in practice. So leading up after that injury, there was some talk he's not going to play. And was it a couple years ago in the playoffs, or right before the playoffs, he got or it was in the playoffs and then leading up to the Super Bowl, I think, that really nasty high ankle sprain, but he still played. They're calling it a mild high ankle sprain for Patrick Mahomes. But I mean, this is like the second time now that I don't know if it's the same ankle or not, but I mean, just how painful for maybe people who don't realize the difference between a high and a low ankle sprain. How painful is it to play with a high ankle sprain?
Yeah, I mean, high ankle sprains are certainly a more severe injury. If you compare, trying to compare apples to apples, like a mild low ankle sprain or standard sprain versus a high ankle, the high ankle is definitely more severe. And the high ankles sometimes right off the bat are bad enough where you need to go to surgery. So where you disrupt. So just a quick review on anatomy. A high ankle is the ligaments that hold the tibia and the fibula together. Whereas the kind of standard lateral ankle sprain or low ankle sprain, whatever term you want to use, that's the ligaments on the side of the ankle. And so the classic inversion injury where you roll your ankle, that's going to be a lateral sprain. Generally, a high ankle is where the foot's stuck in the ground and your whole body rotates. And the talus, basically the block of the ankle, rotates and it basically tries to pull those bones apart. And unfortunately, sometimes it's successful in that. And it'll tear some of those ligaments. So generally, high ankles are going to be more painful, harder to run on, and they do take longer to recover from. So when we see an injury with a significant high ankle involvement, usually you're going to tell the athlete, look, I mean, we're probably going to have to put you in a boot, shut you down for a little bit and progress. Clearly his must be very mild, and I can promise you he got an MRI to assess it. They probably looked at it and said, look, there's actually 3 structures to the high ankle. And so maybe he only had involvement of one of those 3. And they felt that there's enough solid ligament there that it's stable. So again, falls in the category of safe to play. So back to the kind of the topic we've used a couple times today is like, you let him try. So get out there, run, move. And if he's moving okay, I mean, I know a lot of people say that Mahomes kind of plays it up at times and is looking for like, oh, look, he's fighting through and he's a warrior. I mean, I'm not sure I buy into that, but we'll see how he goes out and plays. And if he can move around, I'm sure he'll be out there. He's certainly a competitor.
All right, before I let you go, I got to ask you for some picks. I don't know if I have to ask you about this one. Clemson, Texas. I think I know where you're going to go with this one with the college football playoff.
Yeah. Hey, I'm riding the Longhorns all the way. I think this is going to be their year. Their defense is just playing lights out now. I mean, offense at times, but a couple of drops in the game's totally different, with Georgia. So yeah, Texas all the way.
Who do you got between Ohio State and Tennessee?
That's going to be a good game. I mean, Ohio State's really got a lot of injuries in the offensive line, and I think that's really plagued them. And I think people kind of underappreciate what that does to a football team. But I think the weapons they have at receiver will make a difference. Tennessee's got a really good defense, but I think Ohio State walks away. Close one, though. I think that's going to be a great game.
Penn State, SMU.
Penn State, I think I got Penn State going in that one.
Is there any sort of rivalry with Texas and SMU or anything like that down there?
Yeah, and I mean, obviously the proximity. I mean, Austin and Dallas are not that far apart. I don't think they're a historical one. I mean, if you look down there, probably the bigger one is Texas A&M. Really, honestly, Texas' biggest rival is Oklahoma. But in-state, it would be probably A&M. There's not a lot of love lost between the Aggies and the Longhorns. But any of those schools will certainly have, some. I think, I'm biased, but I think Texas is the big show in town in Texas down there. So there's probably a little bit of that jealousy between all those programs in Texas. But, yeah, I doubt there's a lot of love lost.
And then finally, I think this is going to be a fun one tonight, Indiana, Notre Dame.
Yeah, that one, I mean, I want to say Indiana, I do, but I just think Notre Dame has been playing very well. It'd be great to see, like, kind of that Cinderella story of Indiana, like a program that has just never been here and just has never had success like this to take that next step. Their head coach was at JMU, which is a school I covered when I was at Virginia. And so, I mean, it's awesome to see a guy come up through the ranks like that. So I'm pulling for Indiana, but if I'm a betting man, I'm putting money on Notre Dame. So I guess my allegiances are split. My brain and my heart go different directions there. But I guess if you're asking for a pick, I'll go Notre Dame.
That game right now is the most expensive ticket of all these college football playoff games so far. Seeing about $500. The next closest one is Tennessee, Ohio State at 90 right now.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, the other thing too is it's well, who's the higher seed? Is it Notre Dame, right?
Yeah. Yep. 7-10.
So, and I mean, Indiana. I mean, they're right there. So, because this first round, it's the high seed is home field, right? It
correct.
Doesn't go neutral site home. Yeah. So, I mean, location right there. I mean, that's an awesome matchup. I'm sure the committee, just coincidentally made those two teams play each other, right? It's going to be a great matchup, a regional rivalry that has implications for recruiting in the area. I mean, it's got all the makings for a great game. So. Should be a great one to watch.
Absolutely. Well, Austin, we appreciate it. And Merry Christmas to you and the family over there too, buddy. We appreciate everything and hope you guys have a good holiday with the family. And we'll catch up with you soon, okay?
Absolutely. Take care.
You got it. Dr. Austin Crow, good stuff as always. Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. Very quick break because then we got to get to Brandenburg here. And then Evan wants us, Brandon, to explain the free kick, the fair kick rule that we saw last night. There's actually a couple Packer connections to this. If you go back to your history books, we'll explain. Monday, just a couple days from now, you're going to get Brandenburg for 2 days in a row, believe it or not. Well, not in a row, but 2 shows in a row coming up here because it's the annual Festivus for the Rest of Us show. VFW Post at 3:05. Really looking forward to that. VFW Post is going to be opening up a half hour early for customers too, so you can hang out with us. We're going to set it up so you can hear us ramble and talk too. You won't have to like bust out your phones and try to put it next to your ear. We'll have a
No
speaker
tape delay for us.
Yes. Fingers crossed everything works. I shouldn't get too
knock
confident.
on wood.
Yep. So we're gonna I got the plan, I think. If we go in the order of what Frank Costanza says. Okay, so I'll play a couple clips here. So let's just here's Frank Costanza. So we will begin probably about 7:30, 7:40 with our airing of grievances, because around 8:05 will be our feats of strength over there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Kind of follow I want to follow Frank Costanza as much as possible.
When in doubt, listen to Frank Costanza.
Exactly. So we'll do our airing of grievances, and everybody can air their grievances, send them along. But Brandon and I will do
your sports grievances.
Your sports grievances, yes. Thank you.
Your sports grievances. We are doing sports grievances as we always do. So
yes. So thank you for that. And then yes, around just past 8:00, we will do the feats of strength. And I sent Brandon the award too.
Yes, that is something else. Have you revealed what the feats of strengths are?
I think
you have.
Yes, it's a hot wing challenge.
Yes, it is, and I will be supplying the wings.
Yep.
And I have been told that the people that will be taking the challenge try to avoid making eye contact from your fingers to your eyes during that period. It is not mild.
So it's not how many you can eat. It's going to be who can last the longest,
right,
without taking a drink.
This is spicy sauce.
Mm-hmm. So who can last the longest without taking a drink?
Neither of us will be involved in that part of it. Correct?
I might try a little.
You might try.
Bit,
okay,
just a little bit, but we will have multiple wings. So even if you can't just say I'm going to have one and then hold it. No, if our contestants have one and they don't take a drink, okay, it's time for another one.
Yep.
Until
a winner will be determined.
So for this award, you will be able to pass down to your family, to your grandkids, generations upon generations. This will be displayed on a mantle or a man cave or anything like that. It's pretty prestigious.
It is.
It's pretty prestigious. So, Evan, I know this was a little bit late because he had sent this a little bit earlier. It says, Dan, can you explain the kickoff field goal that happened in the Chargers game last night? The fair kick or the fair catch kick. That is a seldomly used in the NFL, but yes, the Chargers and Harbaugh did that last night before the half, down to the Broncos here. And actually, Cameron Dicker was the longest one, 57-yarder. So essentially, what this is team could call fair catch, and I mean it's strategy. You're going to do it. You have to be down. It says here, you have to be a fair catch to be a viable option. It can be a viable option near the end of the fourth quarter. In this case, it was into the half there. The team attempting to kick needs to be either tied or behind by 3 points. Even if such a situation were to occur, a coach might still decline to attempt a fair catch. Bill Belichick did try this one time. Or what did he try it? Known for his knowledge of skills, declined the opportunity to attempt a 75-yard kick at the end of regulation of Super Bowl 51. That's right. That's right. So
no.
I remember I thought Bill did something, but that was right because everybody said. But essentially, yes, you do a fair catch, you can attempt a kick. I want to say Mike McCarthy did Green Bay do this in 2008 in that final game against the Lions. I remember a very long field goal attempt before half. I don't remember if it was a fair catch one. I'll have to double check it. They weren't going to playoffs, and that's when the Lions ended up being winless in that game. But I remember Mason trying a ridiculously long field goal. I can't remember if it was a fair catch. Anyways, but essentially with the fair catch rule, you don't get a blitz. It's placed off the tee or, a drop kick or something like that. So there is a couple Packer connections with this. The first ever person to have a successful fair catch kick in NFL history. You got to go back to 1921, Curly Lambeau. Curly Lambeau was the first one to have ever done it. The record before Dicker broke it yesterday for the longest one. You got to go back to 1964. Paul Hornung had a 52-yarder. Think about that, though. That's 1962 and Paul Hornung, who was a halfback, and I know he was, was a really good overall athlete. But to nail a 52-yarder in 1964 is pretty darn impressive, too.
Yeah.
So there are a couple Packer connections with that. It's a very obscure rule. You don't see it a whole lot. That's why it's a big story, especially with the Chargers winning
Yeah, that kind
last
of
night too.
sparked the
But
comeback a little bit.
it did. So it's a very obscure rule. Jim Harbaugh, and a classic Jim Harbaugh quote, said it's my favorite rule in football. So it's like, of course it is. I don't know if I believe that, but it's that. I wouldn't expect anything
yesterday.
less. Yeah, I wouldn't expect Harbaugh to say anything less than that. So I want to know who thought of this, and I'll be honest with you. I'm still surprised it's a rule.
Yeah.
With all the changes and all, I'm actually surprised that this is still a rule, that the NFL hasn't tried to get rid of it or something like that. But maybe maybe it could add a little drama at the end. So, yeah, Harbaugh said the free kick is his favorite football rule and that he had been waiting for a chance to try one all season. This isn't the first time Harbaugh has had his team attempt such a kick. In 2013, when he was with the 49ers, he had Phil Dawson try a 71-yard fair catch, but he missed. He said, "This is our chance. This is our moment," he said, thought of his thought process. I wanted to try it from 65 yards. I did have the list up too. I should have seen if Mason did try that. But so hopefully that kind of answered your question. Essentially, yeah. So it's a little strategy. You think about close end of games. If it's a short punt and time's expired,
Right. You can't really
or
can't
1 second
expect. Yeah,
left.
the time can't run out on a fair catch.
Yeah, exactly. So you see some teams
Yeah.
that try that. So
an interesting start to the weekend. Obviously, a big win last night for the Chargers.
Mason did try. I was at that game.
Wow.
It was a December one too.
We've been present for some weird games. I was at the Vikings game where Brad Johnson threw a touchdown pass to himself in 96.
So this was December 28th. There was no time left on the clock in the second quarter because, as you said, you can't, fair catch. 69-yarder. Ball was on target but fell just short of the crossbar. So, yep. I thought
It's a crime that we never got to see Sebastian Janikowski try one.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. For one guy to do that, I don't even think.
Good old Seabass.
I don't think Tucker even tried one.
Well, probably a good thing he doesn't now.
Not anymore, but
yeah. Brennan Aubrey would be
I was just going to say
it seems like he would be the one right now. He's kind of the guy right now.
You would think, and obviously McCarthy did it in 08. Let Mason Crosby do it. Yeah. So, but
come on, Cowboys, bring it out if you can.
I agree. So, how excited are you for the college football?
I'm pretty excited
I'm
pretty excited. We talked about this before. I think the committee got the teams right. And then you look at these matchups; they're fun. You see, right now it's snowing in South Bend.
Yeah.
For Notre Dame, Indiana, that's fun. That's a fun kickoff. Obviously, two schools from Indiana. You got Notre Dame. You got Indiana, who nobody expected to be anywhere close to that position.
Do you feel like, I know it's at Notre Dame, but do you feel like there's going to be a big contingency of Hoosiers fans
I think so, because you've got, Indiana football has not been relevant for a long, long time.
Right.
Obviously, 2020, they started out really strong. Michael Penix when he was there.
Yep.
But it doesn't have a long history of success. So, there's a lot of people that are longtime Indiana fans that are seeing this and saying, hey, they're not going to let this opportunity pass. Even if they got to pay, out the wazoo to go watch this game, they're going to do it. Like, I think this is going to be a lot of fun.
I agree. You look at the ticket price. You probably heard me mention.
Oh yeah,
with Dr. Crow. That's why I feel like there's a lot of Hoosiers fans, and maybe that's why the price. Notre Dame's going to represent itself too.
They will. It's not going to be 80% Indiana, but
right.
If you're a Notre Dame fan and someone's willing to pay you 4 digits,
right?
You got to think about it. But then tomorrow, obviously, you've got the Penn State SMU. That's a very interesting one to me because you've got SMU, a team that that finally kind of overcame the death penalty.
Yeah, for a long time.
SMU is relevant again. They are really thriving in the NIL era. And you've got Penn State right there as well. That's a fun one. And then obviously tomorrow night, or not tomorrow night, but tomorrow night with Ohio State, Tennessee. Like that's just, that's probably the most, I would say, high profile, because I think both of those teams are high pro. Both those teams are like national brands.
Yep.
So that's, there's just a lot to look forward to. Plus, we're already into bowl season. We had the RNL Carriers New Orleans Bowl last night.
Yeah. I will say I failed in signing up for your group.
You did. So after last year, you complained so much about how we were doing confidence points. This year, I make it so we're not, and you don't even sign up.
I forgot because it caught me off guard on how bowl season was like started.
It started last Saturday. It started the same day that Army Navy was.
Right.
So,
and just with the lateness of everything.
Yeah.
So I know it's an excuse, but
it's a bad excuse too.
Oh boy, you're being hard. I get it. I don't know if this was going to be coming up on Monday or anything like that.
No, it's not. That's why I'm getting it in now.
So I was like, oh crap. But it caught me off. I'm like, holy, I wasn't.
Yeah.
The timing wise just threw me off on everything. So I mean, we already had the book or Tom Bowl. And
we got
the
today we've got the what's it called? It's Florida and Tulane. It's the
Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl.
Yeah.
But before that, because we do have some listeners that are at this one, Ohio at Jacksonville State, the Staff DNA Cure Bowl.
Yes.
That's in Orlando, Florida.
And they're in a much more they probably have a little less snow than we have right now, but Jacksonville
they're
State
out of time, so nice
most
job,
notably
Mark.
that Rich Rodriguez, now back at West Virginia.
Yeah, I mean, Sam Houston State got a victory in front of their new head coach yesterday, Phil Longo.
Kind of the offseason so far of you can go home again. Phil Longo, obviously, former Badgers offensive coordinator, former Sam Houston State offensive coordinator.
Yep.
I'm very curious now to see if any of those connected quarterbacks end up at Sam Houston State, especially knowing that like the Locks are from Texas.
That's true. I didn't even think of that. So
we'll see. But yeah, obviously he landed on his feet. He's going to get an opportunity in some familiar ground, and we'll see.
Everybody's pumped up about Rich Rod going back to West Virginia, including I see one Owen Schmidt.
He was. I believe he was at his introductory press conference. So that's going to be interesting to see how that kind of works again, and doesn't have to wait long to see Pitt.
Yeah, exactly. So. Yeah, I mean, tomorrow overall, if you don't have to do any head out on the roads, I mean, football galore because you got 2 NFL games tomorrow.
Yes, you do. Some good ones too.
Chiefs, Texans, Ravens, Steelers.
Yeah, these are good ones.
I mean, tomorrow is a football Saturday.
It is. You got I think the Division II is the FCS. Sorry, is that national championship or is it semis?
Let me double check.
I think it's the semis.
Okay,
I think it's the semis. Because you got the Dakotas involved there. I think Montana State's in there. You've got yourself a full-on football day if you want to partake.
You might want to get a couple of TV. Yeah, championships on January 6th.
Yep, so it's the semis.
Yep.
But yep.
So definitely, yeah, Montana State versus South Dakota and North Dakota State versus South Dakota State.
Yeah.
So that's that. I mean, that region right. I mean, Montana and Dakota.
That is that's like an FCS football hub.
It is. You're right. I forgot Villanova was in the FCS.
Yes.
I forgot because they were in the bracket right here.
Yeah.
Holy moly. That's cool. That's so cool.
And
we got a lot. I mean, North Dakota State. I mean,
there's a lot of Wisconsin connections in some of those teams.
Especially our area.
Especially Dakota State, yeah.
Yep. They hit that target or hit this area hard.
They do.
So you see a lot of those. Well, I mean, you know it more than anybody. A lot of the high schoolers who commit, they really target this area.
They do. They do.
Here, so. All right, so let's take a quick break. We'll do a little local sports roundup to finish up the second hour. Then we've got some cream of the crop and a whole lot more to get to. I will make some bowl picks on our picks and predicts. Don't worry about
it. Good. So. And I'll have to go consult with mine to remember who I picked.
Flying on by here on this Friday morning, working for Monday morning, right? Trying to get to Monday and VFW and Festivus and all that good stuff. All right, let's finish up the second hour here with a little local sports roundup. Very quick, though, before we get to some local sports roundup here, a reminder that, in the new year, we've got New Year's resolutions and could be maybe for your health or whatever the case may be. But if your New Year's resolution is maybe, you know what, it's about time we get some new floor in our home, whether it's some new carpet or some new tile or whatever the case may be. That's your New Year's resolution. You want to do some updating with your flooring game in your home, head to our good friends at Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. Let the team there help you find what's the best in your home, but function the best and fits perfectly within your budget. They will match or beat the competition if you happen to find a better deal elsewhere. Carpet City Flooring Center located at 3109 East Hamilton Avenue in Eau Claire. All right, Brandon. So I know we're kind of getting closer to maybe some holiday stuff and holiday tournaments and that, but boys and girls basketball continuing to roll along right now. Do you have any word that you would like to specifically start off with? Or I mean, there's a lot. So there's a lot to get to. So
let's start with hockey.
Okay.
We're gonna start with hockey.
Yeah.
Big Rivers. There's a big one Tuesday night at Hobbs with Hudson picking up the win over Eau Claire Memorial. Both those teams state ranked. Not surprising, not the first, not the last high-profile matchup between those two programs that we're going to see over the years. So
exactly,
Hudson got a nice early leg up in the Big Rivers standings, but obviously a long way to go yet there. So earlier on that night in the girls' action, Eau Claire area picked up a 4-3 win over Chippewa Falls Menominee in a game that all 7 goals were actually scored in the same period.
Oh, geez,
so
really?
First and the third period were scoreless, and then the second period there were 7 goals scored. So kind of went from 0 to 60 there pretty quick there. But yeah, I mean, obviously last night we had a kind of a blank schedule because of Mother Nature. So, but yeah, then kind of switching gears to boys basketball in the Big Rivers. Eau Claire Memorial, they're state ranked. They're off to a 4-0 start.
Nice.
So the Old Apes coming off a big win over Spash. That's a really good Spash team that's getting back to full strength.
They're usually when you talk about Spash boys
basketball.
basketball.
They're going to be a prime contender in the Wisconsin Valley, and for Eau Claire Memorial to pick up a 53-45 win. I mean, that's a Spash team too. They can score a bunch of points, so that's a great defensive effort by that group. So yeah, that's a good non-conference one to get tonight. Eau Claire Memorial's got River Falls, which is a kind of an interesting early season matchup. River Falls is always good. Good Division II team. They're 3-1 right now, so that'll carry a little bit of weight as far as the conference race goes. Western Clover Belt. Their schedule last night was wiped out, but in the West, you've got Bloomer, who had picked up a big win last Friday over Regis. So they're 4-0 right now. Keenan Dahl's squad, off to a very good start, a very balanced effort from that group. That's the team that won the conference last year, but had some turnover with some players graduating. But they're doing things a little bit different, but they're still very successful with it. So that's a Bloomer team that is. I think every time they go into a game, teams know they got to play at a certain level physically because they got some big, strong kids there, but they've also got some shooters too. So, that's kind of really there for the win. Altoona will actually be playing at the Target Center.
That's right.
So that'll be a fun one there. I mean, last year I think Stanley Boyd played over at the Target Center, and at the time Henry Hull, who's now playing for UW Eau Claire, scored his 1,000th point there. So that was always kind of a cool thing that. You can kind of hit that milestone and do so on, an NBA court. So that'll be a good, a really cool thing for the Max and the Rails.
Absolutely. So that's really cool.
Yep. Flipping to the girls scene, a bit like the boys scene for the Big Rivers. You've got a very good Eau Claire Memorial squad, up at the top with Rice Lake and Hudson. And I mean, otherwise, you mentioned Eau Claire Memorial for the boys hosting River Falls. Well, the girls are going to River Falls tonight, looking to stay unbeaten. Rice Lake is unbeaten early on in the conference season. Certainly, the Shepley influence is big there. I mean, those are the sisters there are very they're tough they're tough matchups for people. I mean, at this point, you kind of look at what's going on. They picked up a big win Tuesday night over your Medford Raiders.
Yeah,
but a really good effort. And going to the Western Clover Belt there, they're back in action tonight as well. And you've got right now, McDonald, who is the last unbeaten team in conference play, Tuesday night, Eau Claire Regis with a really good effort to knock off Fall Creek. I think those are 3 teams that you're going to be seeing kind of battle in and out. McDonald's already got a win over Regis. Now Regis has a win over Fall Creek. Fall Creek and McDonald will play after the new year. So, those are some teams that are really kind of jockeying for position, a lot like last year was. I think, that it's going to be a little bit similar, even though the teams are all a little bit different this year.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be good. The big matchup tonight, I would say maybe Fall Creek and Bloomer. Bloomer's a team that they picked up some wins here early. That's a really young team, but that's a really athletic team. So that could be kind of an interesting one to watch, up in Bloomer tonight.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So wrestling, you've got some teams that are hosting not even I can't even really say tournaments, but they're kind of just think about it as multi-team duels.
Okay.
Like Stanley Boyd's hosting one tonight where there's going to be several teams that are in Stanley for that. And
okay.
Tomorrow for boys swimming, you got the Eau Claire Lions hosting the Santa Claus invite at North. So that's usually a big one for a lot of local teams. I know Chippewa Falls, McDonald will be there. There's other teams that'll be there as well.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got a couple other events, some wrestling tournaments. I think there's going to be some teams that are going to be over in Auburndale. There's certain tournaments around here going on, but really today and tomorrow is kind of that last little gasp until after Christmas.
That's true.
Because there's nothing on Monday. I mean, we got Festivus on Monday, but there's no prep events on Monday. But then that Friday, Saturday, there's some events going on around here. You got teams hosting events. McDonald's hosting a boys and girls holiday tournament, the Denny Laramie Memorial Tournament, where they've got just a bunch of games going on those 2 days. Wrestling tournaments. River Falls hosting the Northern Badger, which is always a big event. A lot of teams from this area will be over there for that. Just a lot going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, awesome, good stuff there. And I know blue gold wise too, and stout, not a lot because we got some are just wrapping up finals and that, but
right.
They'll be getting in action right after Christmas. But wrestling this weekend is in Nevada at the Reno tournament.
That's I think that they picked a good week to be out there.
Mm-hmm. Then stout women's basketball, they picked up a victory last night against Berry College out of Georgia, 58-55. They're going to be back at it this morning, going up against Grove City College. So, and then, a little bit of a break, and then there are these.
Then you're jumping into conference stuff pretty quick.
Pretty much. Yep. Exactly. So, but all right, good stuff there. Local sports roundup here this morning. Big thanks to Brandon for that. Your mom did text in too. Says, Tiger and Charlie also tee off at 9:44 tomorrow morning.
Jeez.
Forgot that they're going at it too. So, but that'll
that's a nice morning.
It is
morning event.
So, but should be good. I gotta do a couple things yet for Christmas, but I want to plant my butt in the man cave and watch a lot of football tomorrow. I want to plant my butt and watch that.
Not just football, relevant football.
Relevant. That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, it's not like we get a Saturday afternoon game of two teams that are out of it. These are all games that matter.
Yep. So speaking of games that matter, but switching over a little bit because we got about 5 minutes to the top here. But Bucks, how pumped were you to get NBA Cup champs, man?
Ever since I was a little kid, I dreamed of watching the Bucks win the NBA Cup. But no, it's obviously it's exciting. It's good. To see how much they've been able to kind of turn the nose up with how bad it was starting, and to be able to see them do that now, it's just I'm never going to get too overly excited about the NBA within the first couple months of the year, no matter what they do. But this is good to see because not only are they winning, but they had to be good teams along the way. OKC is a very good team.
And they were I think they were 9-1 in their last 10, so they were
right. And they had so it's exactly what you wanted to see, and and it's great because I don't think a month and a half ago we thought this was going to happen. It was kind of trending towards are they just old? But credit to Doc Rivers tweaking his lineup a little bit, getting a lot more AJ Green, a lot more Andre Jackson Jr., getting some of those younger guys some run, and it's made a difference.
Yeah, the biggest thing I took away from that was the fact that they're playing just really good basketball right now.
Yes,
considering what they were doing at the beginning of the season. You mentioned two names there too. Andre Jackson Jr. is displaying how fantastic of a defensive player he is.
I mean, you can kind of see the physical tools when you just look at him, but he's a guy that you can throw on some really good players and say, hey, slow him down, frustrate him, get him mad.
Right.
He will.
Right. Yep. So, and then AJ Green, I mean, he's even shown some defensive prowess, but he's been, the Dairy Bird. I love that, that nickname there. But I don't know if it just kind of. I think it kind of happened on accident where Doc had to find different players to play, and then all of a sudden it's like AJ Green showing some really good stuff defensively in the energy, and then Andre Jackson Jr. Defense over there too. So maybe it was a happy accident, but they found something.
You take it, yeah.
So that's the biggest thing. And Middleton, I don't know what role he's going to be, but it seems like now he's maybe a little bit more of a facilitator, kind of a point forward type of role coming off the bench.
And that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
As long as he's being able to consistently play, he's going to find ways to do good things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm just the biggest thing. Yeah, it's cool. I'm not going to be like poo-poo on it or anything, but I think the biggest thing I take away is that it just finally feels like maybe now it's all kind of clicking. Doc Rivers,
right? Dame seems like he's really settled in. Like, it took some time. And remember, last year Dame Lillard got traded for on the eve of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Doc Rivers came in during the middle of the season. Like, it's tough to make wholesale changes when that's happening.
Right.
So,
yep. So, okay. I only got a couple minutes left here to the top. So coming up next, let's do cream of the crop. Maybe the Bucks are part of the cream of the crop. Maybe. So we'll do that. We do have football. We don't have Green Bay because that's going to be on Festivus. But we got some intriguing games that NFC North now is shaping up. By the way, I don't know if you heard me in the first hour. I did figure out a way how Green Bay could still get a 1 or 2 seed. Hey,
nice.
There's a chance.
Now, were you playing around with the playoff machine?
I was.
Okay.
I love that thing.
All right.
So I didn't pick any of the other games, so I don't know if tiebreakers or what coming is. But essentially what would have to happen, Brandon, okay? Green Bay has to win, which, duh. Minnesota would have to lose to Seattle. Obviously lose to Green Bay. Detroit would have to lose to San Francisco this week. And then they play...
Well, they next week.
Or next week. Yeah.
Imagine that they lose...
Detroit, yeah, because people are picking the Bears to beat Detroit, which I don't know about right now. But they'd have to lose to the Bears this week and then San Francisco next week. And then you're like, oh, that final game. Detroit and Minnesota. Who has to win there? Tie. If they tie...
All those sneaky ties.
Can you imagine that? That would... I know you... But, like, as a Packers fan, if that were to happen where Green Bay wins out, Minnesota loses their next 2.
Like
Detroit loses their next 2.
Prime time.
And it ends in a tie. And then Green Bay vaults up over both of them. That is a Festivus miracle. Right? I mean, come on. That would be... Wow. You would have to chuckle a little bit at that.
I would. I would.
That would just be like... oh, so cool. So awesome. And if Philly were to lose a couple, I mean, Green Bay could be the 1 then.
Yeah.
Or at least the 2. So 99% chance it's probably not going to happen, but there's that 1%. There's that 1%.
Hey, that's what sports fandom is all about, that 1%.
Mm-hmm. So I'm holding out hope until I can't anymore that we could still maybe be a top seed.
I believe it, just trying to think offhand, as long as, because right now Minnesota's up 2 games on Green Bay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because...
Yeah, Minnesota's 12-2 and Green Bay's 10-4.
But they have the tiebreaker around 2 because
currently.
Currently. Yeah. But so lose your next 2, Detroit, lose your next 2, Minnesota, Green Bay win out, and then tie that final game, Detroit and Minnesota. You got to be, I kind of forgot. I know we talked about this, but that Minnesota and Green Bay game ain't getting flexed to primetime.
No, it's going to be either at noon or at 3:25.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
these stupid rules that we don't even
know.
No,
but it's protected. We got Washington and Atlanta.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Michael Penix Jr. now, maybe it's a little bit better now because it's Michael Penix versus
It's a relevant game.
So, but thank you.
Yeah, I'm with you. I didn't need to see that in prime time that night.
All right, 2 in. We got 1 more to go. We'll be back after these quick words. Final hour kicking off on this Friday morning, December 20th. A big thanks for hopping on and joining us here, broadcasting from the TDS Sports Talk Studios. So, we're going to get to some more football talk, or I should say, get back to some football talk coming up here in just a little bit. We've got, I'm excited for college football, but we were looking for send me your Final Four picks, your Final Four. We're going to have a little bracket challenge maybe, or a little bracket talk, but it's December. So,
yeah,
I'm not going to ask you for your Final Four. Actually, I am.
I gotta look at the bracket so I make sure I've got it.
Well, you got phones over there. You can look it up. So I want people's Final Fours and I want their championship. So send those on over 715-830-1912 or comment on the video stream if that's what you'd rather do over there too. So reminder with the video streams, we're up on Facebook, we're up on YouTube, we're up on X/Twitter, Instagram, Twitch. You can even, if you got one of those smart TVs, you can pop it up on your TV with the YouTube app over there. I even changed up a little bit of the graphics on there too. So you can see right now Brandon's head. That's it. Just
Whoa,
the way he's.
How lucky are you?
The way he's sitting. So let's do cream of the crop, shall we? Oh, I got to switch. See, I changed the hotkeys.
Why?
Because I have it set up for Festivus on Monday, but now I got to go back to the normal ones because I can't do it remotely, so I got to make sure it's ready.
Hotkeys.
So, cream of the crop. Why is it too, by the way? I just randomly, when I'm scrolling through stuff, I happen to find a old school WWE video and I just get enthralled into it. Whether it's Hogan or HBK, or the other day I was just like, God, the Ultimate Warrior is so cool for running up there, just like running through and getting up. It's like those just suck me in every time I see some of those.
No matter
videos.
what you're doing, you get sidetracked.
Ah,
just like right now.
Exactly. But it's like when they pop up, it's like, okay, I got to watch that. And when it was good back in the day. So, all right, you're cream of the crop, man.
I'm actually going to go with Jim Harbaugh.
For the kick last night?
Not just the kick, but just in general. Obviously, the Chargers are the AFC playoff picture is pretty much decided. It's just a matter of who's where.
Mm-hmm.
But Chargers coming in like year one, and he wins. He's winning. That's what he's done. That's what he's done wherever he's really been.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just, he made. Who knows how long he's always there, because it seems like after a while maybe it kind of runs out of steam. But you know what? Coming in, like giving that stability to that franchise, a franchise that needed it.
Mm-hmm.
Good for him.
I mentioned this to Luke the other day. You think about it with your Vikings, just how the different the last couple of years could have been. Because it wasn't that long. A couple of years ago, we thought Harbaugh was going to be the guy.
Yeah.
Minnesota.
He was. Yeah.
Now it's Kevin O'Connell, which seems to be working out pretty well too.
Right.
The whole Kirk Cousins situation now, kind of working. But now you're going to have, I think, an interesting court. I'm going to get to this with you coming up here in a little bit. But you look at the decisions made, and then at the time people are like, oh, let it play out sometimes.
Yeah.
But how different things could be for Minnesota right now.
Yeah.
If Harbaugh would have taken a job, would Kirk still be there? Would it be a different quarterback altogether?
Would it be JJ McCarthy? Who knows?
Yeah. But no, that's even like Sean Payton. I know they lost last night, but to take Bo Nix to start off the year right away, Bo Nix, and they're probably going to make the playoffs too.
Yeah, like right now, it's one of those teams who need to melt down in Indianapolis. We need to actually get stuff together, which I'm not sure at this point they can. When you're running receiver passes that get pick six, like, come on.
Was it like 2 laterals though, or something like that? It was like, okay,
right.
That reminded me of flag football when you do it a little too much and then everything gets screwed up. So, but no, I know Kansas City clinched their division way early on, but yeah, Denver and the Chargers turned it around pretty quick. I look at AFC West and NFC North. The talent of coaches in those two divisions.
Coaching matters.
Mm-hmm.
Coaching matters. I mean, just look in the NFC North and you can see the haves and the have-nots, and you can see coaching matters.
100%. I'm going to be boring. Mine is the Bucks for my cream of the crop right there. Just overall, not just because they won the NBA Cup. I feel a lot better about this team, and I feel a lot better about the chemistry of this team. I think it's just finally starting. Doc Rivers, everybody's, it's flowing now.
I kind of like that they're not playing on Christmas this year.
Right?
Like, In some ways, that's was a bit of a slight, because obviously, that's always like your best teams on there. It's like, oh, really?
That's like the NBA's day, right? It's Christmas Day. That's supposed to be, but now the NFL's like, nope, screw you. It's going to be our day now too.
Yes.
So it doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter. It's on a Wednesday. We're going to play games on Christmas Day.
And we're going to move our schedule around to make that happen.
Yep. And we're going to make you, if you don't have Netflix, you got to watch it up over there too.
Yep.
So
hopefully they got their buffering figured out.
This is the issue too. This should be a little Festivus too, but the amount of different people they've got covering this game from different networks and that, I'm like, don't go too overboard to where it's just like, okay, this is just ridiculous.
You remember? I'm assuming you've seen The Naked Gun, the movie. You know the scene when they're at the baseball game and they show the broadcast booth and there's like 7 people in there, including Dr. Joyce Brothers.
Yes,
like that's kind of what it's gotten. That's what made me think of, where it's just like, don't go, like you said, don't go overboard with it.
And especially like these pregame shows now too, where it's like, okay, you could tell you're trying to squeeze too many people in on that desk.
Exactly. When they show a shot of the pregame and there's just like, it looks like the Knights of the Round Table, like you need to make some cuts there.
Yeah. So somebody asked, is Brandon your real name? Yes,
it is.
No, that's your alter ego. That's your. Some people in the biz do have different names. You do not.
My alter ego is Rando.
Jesus. Oh man. John's got Oregon, Texas, Penn State, Georgia, Oregon versus Georgia. Oregon going chalk there then too. It looks like so. Yeah, Oregon 1, Georgia 2. Oregon wins 38-36. He says.
Ooh, that'd be a good one.
Yeah. We'll do ours.
Yeah, we will.
Back and over here too. So, but continue to send me your college football playoffs.
Do you get SMU going all the way out there? I want to see it.
No. You know what I feel like is going to happen? I'm not saying I'm picking this, but right away when that thing came out and everybody's like, "Oh, Penn State's got the easiest path," I almost feel like Penn State's going to lose now in the first game and just screw it up for people.
It's one of those years, like. Not quite like 2007 where everybody was losing, but like this is just a very balanced year.
Yeah, it is. So going back to, I want to ask you this. What would you do with your quarterback position in the offseason, Brandon? Because let me tell you what I would do, and you tell me if I'm completely wrong or a little bit wrong. Okay? But if I were you, I would at least approach Sam Darnold and say, Sam, we'll give you an increase in pay. It's going to be a shorter contract, though. Maybe 2-3 year deal, similar to Geno Smith. Remember when Geno Smith signed like a 3-year deal and that sort of thing? But we're going to get you a pay raise. We're going to pay you nice. It may not be the biggest contract, like a 5-year, $50 million deal that the Titans will offer you or something,
or
like
the
that,
Raiders,
or the Raiders, or something like that. But we'll offer you a 3-year deal, and you're going to make about $40 million per year. I feel like Minnesota should at least approach that, because what's so wrong about sitting J.J. McCarthy another year, or maybe another year after that? I get he was a top 10 pick in that, and it's not like Jordan Love falling or Aaron Rodgers falling or all of that. But we got to remember too, J.J. didn't play at all this year. Yes, he played preseason and he looked good, but I mean, this is kind of a wash year at this point. That's how I would do it. How would you do it?
So far, my approach on this has simply been, I'm not going to make a decision right now because I don't have to. So it's like, what would you do? Well, I don't have to make a decision right now. Why worry about that right now? But for the purpose of this exercise, I will say, like, to me, the thing you always have in your back pocket is the franchise tag.
That's true.
So if it goes and, say, this, Sam Darnold finishes the year solid and it's a really good year, you can always say, hey, you know what, Sam? We like you. We want to bring you back for another year for the reasons you said. Plus, remember, when J.J. McCarthy got drafted, he's only 21 years old. So you can sit him a few years and he'll still only be like 23. He'll still be younger than Michael Penix Jr. or Bo Nix when they're playing this year.
Right.
So you can do that. But yeah, I mean, if this year ends well and whatever, constitute whatever you want to assume well means, I'm not opposed to that, because the stat that blew my mind is Sam Darnold is younger than Joe Burrow.
Oh gosh, you're right. I did hear that, but
Sam Darnold is younger than Joe Burrow. So it's not, he's what, 27?
Yeah.
But he's been around because he got drafted when he was 20.
Yeah.
So
I just feel like too that if there's one player in this entire league that knows the benefit of going to a good situation, it's Sam Darnold.
Right. Because he was in some bad ones.
Right. So I think, maybe it gets that if they don't do the franchise tag, maybe it gets to a point of like, do I take a little less but be in a good situation, or do I try to cash in and it's a risk.
Yeah, it is. And that's going to be up to him. I mean, he said, he's.
Do you buy the 49er stuff? That maybe would the 49ers try to get him again and move on from Brock Purdy?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, would you pay Sam Darnold $45 million and Brock Purdy 50? Or whatever.
See, my thing is those two guys, though, they got to be in that right system. I don't want to make it sound a negative, but I do feel like Brock Purdy with Kyle Shanahan style system works.
It's his best version.
Right. Yeah. Like I put him in bad offense. Give me a bad offense. Raiders or something. Brock Purdy, not Brock Purdy, or Sam Darnold's not Sam Darnold.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I get their surrounding talent and all that too, but we just said coaching matters.
Yeah.
Coaching, right? So I'm interested to see the quarterback carousel with Sam Darnold. Now you got Kirk Cousins.
Now, what happens there? Because in the interesting I've seen though, because obviously Kirk has that no trade clause.
Mm-hmm.
So he could flat. I mean, and I almost gave my cream of the crop to Kirk Cousins because he is a generational bag getter.
Yeah.
He always gets paid, and I'm not hating on that. Good for him.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it wasn't his. Again, it's not his fault. The Falcons threw $180 million at him coming off a torn Achilles.
Yep.
He's not the one that made the mistake there.
No.
But if the Falcons go to him and say, "Hey, would you be interested in any trades?" If I'm him, I'm saying, "No, cut me."
Yeah.
Because he's getting paid anyway, and then he gets to pick where he goes.
Yep.
Even if he would kind of maybe be able to, pick on a trade, he can pick even more so then.
Because there's no way he's coming back, right? There just can't be.
Especially if Michael Penix
plays well,
looks good. I don't know how you do that.
We ripped that pick.
Yeah.
Now it kind of looks like
like if they hedged their bets and it worked, or at least right now it worked. And remember, going into the draft process, I really like Michael Penix. I want Michael Penix, Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
When we did our pre-draft mock draft thing with the PFF simulator, I drafted Michael Penix for the Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
I think Michael Penix can be a really good quarterback, and I am really interested to see how he plays down the stretch.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they hedged their pick, and it worked.
Yep.
Or at least right now they're in an opportunity where we're seeing why they did.
Yeah, they don't draft Michael Penix. Kirk Cousins is probably still playing as a starter.
Yes, because your backup is Taylor Heineke or something.
Mm-hmm. Although Taylor Heineke's had some. That's kind of what he's known for, coming in to get a couple starts there and having some success and such. So, did you see the Jets article yesterday, by the way?
I had heard a little bit about like Woody Johnson not wanting Jerry Jeudy because of his Madden rating. And there was another one with a certain offensive lineman because of his elusive or awareness rating in Madden. If obviously a lot of people here right now listening are Packer fans. There might be some Vikings fans, but there's some other fans too. If your ownership of your team is not a complete moron, be grateful. Because there's a bunch of them out there, and it's kind of like a landmine.
Yeah.
If you don't step on it, good for you.
Mm-hmm.
Because man, it's so much tougher to be a good, any sports franchise, but especially in the NFL, when your owners are straight up idiots.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, okay, I'm sorry, but Woody Johnson, if you're an idiot, just stay out of the decision making.
And that's it. And that's part of it. Like, it's one thing if you're an idiot, but you let the football people make the decisions and do the heavy lifting.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of owners that they got to be very rich by making decisions. So they think, oh, well, I was very good at this in the business world, so I'll be good at this in football.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Hearing this now, would you vault the Jets as the number one most dysfunctional franchise in the NFL?
Right now, yeah.
Yeah.
Because for a while it was Washington, but then suddenly Dan Snyder gets out of there. They get some stability in their ownership, and look at it.
Yeah.
Suddenly they're a playoff team.
And it was kind of like Carolina was there a little bit with Dave Tepper.
With Tepper, and
maybe now Bryce Young's kind of figured it out.
Yeah, and they're
still
still
bit,
like, I mean, I'm still not,
Tepper's got to stay out of everything.
Exactly. Like, that's the issue with so many. And to me, that's the issue with the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Like,
yep.
Jerry, if you're Jerry, I know you might be listening right now.
Call in if you are, Jerry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to get some rando trying to do a Texan accent.
That's Jerry Jones, Dallas Cowboys. I can't even do a good Jerry Jones impression, but just be grateful. Like, I'm very grateful for the Wilfs because they just stay out of the way. They are willing to spend money, and they just say, you know what? We trust the football people. We're staying out of the way. You'll hear them talk like 2 or 3 times a year, like at, in training camp. Usually Mark or Ziggy will kind of give their their kind of point of view, press conference with the media. But for the most part, they just stay out of the way. You'll just every once in a while the games cut to the owner suite, and you'll see Ziggy looking like Wario up there. That's fine. That's fine. Be smart enough to know when you need to just stay out of the way. And obviously it's a little bit different with Green Bay, but it's the same principle.
But it goes back to, because there was just a couple years ago, even Florio was the one that would say stuff like that. I think it was when Aaron was still there. He's like, if Green Bay had an owner, then they maybe be more aggressive in free agency and push that needle and all that. There's maybe some benefits to have that owner, but there's also some major risks.
Right. If you have just a complete hothead in that spot, right. Look at the Browns. I mean, we talked about the Jets. The Browns are right there with them.
Yep.
With the tremendous investment of Deshaun Watson. How'd that work out?
You're exactly right. John said, so maybe it wasn't all of Aaron Rodgers' fault. I still maybe not, but there's still Rodgers' fingerprints all over that.
Right.
I mean, it's not hard to connect some of the dots there for some of the players they brought in over that. I'm just saying, throwing that out there too. So I'm not absolving him of everything over there. But yeah, I was reading something like the Madden rating thing just blew my mind. So here's my thing then. If he values Madden rating so much, why isn't he interviewing somebody from Madden to be? He just interviewed Jim Nagy, who's the Senior Bowl guy.
If I was a GM candidate, I would go and not tell Woody that you can change ratings in Madden. And be like, these are all the players I would get.
Yeah.
Look at them. They're all rated so high.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that. That's awesome.
And the fact that the ratings change over the course of the year, like,
I just that. And the thing is, if I'm a general manager candidate, I'm looking at that like, I don't want any of that. But they are going to hire a general manager. Somebody will take the job.
It's an NFL job, and there's only 32 jobs.
Yep. They will get a coach. May not be the best coach. Don't think Ben Johnson will be going over there anytime soon, but they will have a coach. Might only be for a year. Might only be for a couple of years. It is one of 32. It is
right.
one of 32.
And that is like, well, why would anyone go there? Because it's one of 32 jobs. And there's going to be someone that thinks, hey, but you know what? I can fix it.
Exactly.
And that's when you go into that interview, that's how you have to present it. Like it's like a job interview. You're going into there. I mean, it is a job interview, but you're going in there saying, hey, I know what's going on here. Here's how I can fix it. Even though it's a tough situation. I mean, this happens in everything else besides sports. You interview for a job. Hey, this is a rough situation right now, but you know what? I have a plan to fix it. Maybe you do.
There was one thing that just kind of boggled my mind here too, was apparently it was after when Mike White was playing. I don't know if you saw this part. Mike White was playing. They lost the game, and like he was playing with broken ribs or something. And he came in the locker room after the game, and he like threw his helmet down, and Johnson said something about, I can't say the one word. He's like, you should be throwing your helmet because you blank and suck. That's okay. So that's bad to begin with. But the second part was the Jets confirmed that happened. And the Jets then said, Woody later apologized to him. So the fact that they even confirmed that happened to that article.
My goodness. Like, yeah, it's just.
That was like, wow. They actually said, yeah, it happened, but he did apologize afterwards.
Oh, okay.
So it makes it open.
Well, he said with all due respect.
No offense, but
the old Talladega Nights thing. I said with all due respect. Like that suddenly means it's okay.
Right. I was like, oh my gosh. So I mean, kind of feel bad. That's where you feel bad for, I think, a fan base at that point
because
in
the
time.
Jets fan base is a long-suffering fan base.
And then why are you trying to push out Fireman Ed all the time? Like, why? That's like your one of your biggest
that's like your PR
marketing thing.
Fan. Like people think, like when you think of certain fans, you think like when I think of like a Packer fan, I think of like the dude with like the frozen icicles.
Yeah,
that guy, whatever that guy's name is.
Frozen Tundra Man or something.
Yeah, whatever
like
his
that,
name is.
Or
I think
Saint
like,
Vince.
Yeah, or Saint Vince. Like
Mhm.
there's certain fans. Like if you're a fan of a team for a long time, you know that these fans are notorious. Like for the Vikings, I think of like the 2 Viking fans in like the zoot suits, like the ones in like the purple one, and they've got like the big pointy hat.
Yep. Yeah.
Those are the people I think of.
I mean, I just
It's just there's just
you know
there's
what?
so many bad owners out there in sports. If you don't have one on your team, be grateful.
You know what actually might happen? He says he wants it. He might actually get it because Rex Ryan might be back as a Jets head coach.
Right.
That might actually happen. I mean, for crying out loud, that's one guy out there publicly saying, "I'll take it."
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it was just
Did you watch the Aaron Rodgers documentary?
halfway through.
Okay.
So I finished the first episode. It wasn't bad.
Okay.
Have you? I'm assuming
I have not.
So I'll give you my kind of
Okay.
my
Yeah. No, that's
review
fine.
here a little
That's
bit.
fine.
So the first episode spent a lot of it goes back and forth to current stuff with the Jets and then back on history, which based off the trailer, I wasn't expecting any Packer stuff. I thought it was like, okay, all current and all that. It actually goes back to his college and Packers, and then the first one ends when they win the Super Bowl and such, and talks about the Favre summer and all that. Which the one thing I chuckled about, because Mike McCarthy's in it, Matt LaFleur's in it too, doing interviews, which that whole Ted Thompson drama thing now that Matt LaFleur yesterday said, I think they cut and edited it. Well, I'm like, oh crap, here we go. Now we're gonna get more stuff out there. But the one where Rodgers was talking about, so when Favre flew back in 08, and he said he got a text, says, hey, the boss wants to meet you in the parking lot in 10. And the boss being Mike McCarthy. And he said, met him at his truck, go in the truck, and that's when McCarthy said it's your job. And I'm just like, is that not the most Midwestern thing?
Meeting in the truck, yeah.
Meeting in the parking lot in the truck. Yeah, because at that time, that's when the parking lot was outside. Lambeau now they got the underground parking. But it's out there where like hop in a truck, we're gonna talk. Is that not the perfect? That's how he finds out. Because he said we're gonna move on from Brett. I'm like, that stuff I like hearing, just the little nuggets and little behind the stories sort of stuff there too. So I have seen clips of the other parts I haven't gotten to yet. The second episode starts off where I'm not quite interested in. It's a ayahuasca sort of, so I'm trying to grind through that. I mean, there's some good stuff. I will admit that first episode, there was points I'm like, okay, you're starting to make me kind of like you again. So I'm like, just stop. But then it's the whole Ryan Clark thing that came out again. I'm like, okay, just what are we doing? Just stop. I don't know. It's so confusing. It's like Ted Thompson said. He's a confusing individual. He's a confusing
An enigma wrapped in a mystery.
Mm-hmm. Future is a beautiful mystery, man. It's a beautiful mystery. So I will power through it. I did not know, based off the trailer, like McCarthy, LaFleur, and those guys would be on it, which I think, okay, there's actually football stuff now.
Yes. Yeah.
There's not just the whole trying to be, Superman and play on a torn Achilles 3 months after and doing that. The fact that there's football stuff in there. So
yeah. It's not completely a PR puff piece.
Right. Yeah. I am interested now to see if, Matt LaFleur goes out there in the presser saying, yeah, I don't know if they did some editing, but that's,
now that kind of
is there going to be a response now,
yeah.
Sort of thing, this whole back and forth, because we talked about it yesterday. He said it, the clip's there that says, Ted Thompson said he was too good to pass up. And it's like, whoa, was Ted Thompson involved in I don't know if you heard that.
I'd seen the yeah.
Well, we're like, whoa. And then Matt LaFleur was asked about it yesterday. He's like, I don't remember saying that. Ted Thompson absolutely had not. They did a really good editing job and cutting it. I'm like, oh crap.
He's making a statement.
Tuesdays with Aaron now is probably going to be brought up. So thanks. Christmas Eve version. But I will power through it this weekend.
Okay.
And I will do a full review on Festivus.
There we go. That because it might be a gripe depending on how it goes.
A Festivus guaranteed. You're talking to the individual that watched the stupid Bachelorette, just the whole thing, just to get some intel and info. I will do this. If I could get through the Bachelorette, if I could get through Dancing with the Stars a whole season because Donald Driver was on there, I can do this. The
things you do for people.
The things I do. and then you will get an honest review on Monday.
We are jam-packed on Monday.
We are.
It is like it. No, it isn't. I'm not kidding. It is my favorite show of the year. We do.
I may tease a little bit of one of my gripes. I might have to go out there and say why we have not won for first place for best show on there.
Maybe this is the year.
We've gotten second place. Is this the year?
I need to be.
I may be calling out some voters.
All right. I need to be able to add this to my cornucopia of media awards. I need a radio award.
That's true. I need a writing
I've got
award.
writing.
Then,
I've
Brandon.
got photography. I need radio.
Well, then how do I get a writing one?
Write something.
Let's take a quick break here. We'll be back with more mishmash, whatever, before we get to picks and predicts coming up in just a few minutes. Kind of feel like Brandon, our pressure's on us a little bit for Monday too, because we keep setting this up. This better be a dang good program. So,
no, to me that it's. I already know it's going to be.
Okay.
Like
You're already calling your shot?
Yeah, no, I let's put it this way. How many years have we been doing Festivus broadcasts?
I was trying to think of that because I wanted to add it to the poll.
Yeah, because it's been several.
Has it been several?
It's been several.
Several or few?
I feel like I've deleted my.
Did we do it in 2020, the COVID year?
Maybe that was the first, because maybe we did it remotely.
I know we did one because I think that was part of our gripes was COVID because it ruined sports.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
So did we do it the year before though?
I don't know if we did.
Okay, so should we just say we started in 2020 and
Let's
this
just,
is the fourth?
so this is the fifth. This would be the 5th annual.
2020, 21, 22. Ooh, that round number.
So yeah, we'll just say this is the 5th annual.
Okay, I like that. We'll say
because that sounds
started
right to me. Because I feel like I have a memory of like doing my Festivus list, like because that's where I was.
Mm-hmm.
We were doing it. I was doing from home, and I feel like I remember doing it then.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we'll call this the 5th annual. I was literally trying to figure that out the other day.
Yep.
Because I was gonna on our poll,
I never thought about it, but yeah,
I was probably gonna add the years that we did Festivus.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
You know,
so
it's like a college trophy.
Yeah. So I do think 5th is fair.
Mm-hmm. C-Bomb says, and when Brandon says write something, it doesn't mean your name. So
can you write your name?
It's worth how many points on the SATs, right? That's what I've been told. I never took the SATs. Did you ever take the SATs?
I took the ACTs.
Yeah, we took the ACTs.
Yeah, I took the ACTs.
Is the SATs a thing around here? Or is it just ACTs?
I think it might be ACTs. What'd you get on your ACT?
I don't want to talk about that. We don't need to talk about that. No, we don't need to talk about that. I know what I got, but we don't need to talk about that right now. I was pissed. And I didn't want to take it
I was solidly above average.
Oh, okay.
Which
solidly above average. That's such a humble brag. It's
solidly above average.
I know a couple people actually got perfects, and that pisses
the
me
closest
off,
I got is I have a friend that got, I believe, a 35.
I know somebody got a 36.
Actually, no, maybe he did get a perfect.
How is that possible? You know what pisses me off about those tests is that I've always like whether it's I don't even know if they do the standardized tests. You remember those like in elementary or middle school we had to do?
Yep.
The areas I did the best in were the worst subjects that I did in school.
Oh, I was the opposite. Like I did great in like writing, but I did bad math.
I sucked at math. That was my worst subject in school. But those tests, I always graded high. Explain that to me then. How is that possible? Riddle me that. You know, how is that possible? And it's just like, and the ones I thought I was like really good at, I was awful.
One of the things in I've talked about this a few times where like fantasy football league, I mean, we've talked about like punishments for last place. One of them was someone has to retake the ACTs.
I don't want to do that.
And everyone else gets to tailgate it, which I'm not sure how we would do that because if it's at a school, I don't know how you can tailgate at a school.
You got to be able to get an ACT test offline, right?
I guess maybe that's how you would do it. Is you could get an ACT and then just like do it at somebody's house while everyone else is just like drinking.
Because I did a Wonderlic on air.
Yeah,
I got in the 30s.
It's pretty good.
I know.
That's pretty good.
A lot better than some
so
quarterbacks that are making.
You need to put that on your your resume or something.
Yeah.
What'd you get in your ACTs? Don't worry about it. Ask me what I got on the Wonderlic.
My online Wonderlic test.
Just have it compared with like comparable NFL players.
Yeah. Oh, I did.
Because you're not Ryan Fitzpatrick, but you're pretty good.
Oh, I think I got higher than like
a lot of people.
A lot of people. Yeah. A lot of people.
I liked in the old Madden games where you would like take like a truncated version of the Wonderlic.
Oh, I don't remember that.
There was a couple where you would instead of like it would be like 10 questions instead of like 50.
Oh, I don't remember that.
It was because it was in like when you did like the individual career mode like that.
I never did the career mode, so that's probably why. So
I didn't do it much, but like that was something you would do right away because then that would like establish like your quote unquote IQ or whatever.
Oh yeah, that always grinded my gears. I never figured that out. Why? So which one's right? Was it from the teachers or was it the actual standardized testing and ACTs? Never made sense to me. So
let's do that next summer. Let's take the ACTs.
No.
And then only if the results are good will we share.
So then everybody knows if somebody,
well, I think they already kind of know, but if somebody asks and we just say, don't worry about it, you know.
I would just say this. I have a college degree, Brandon.
I do
you can
too.
Just leave it at that. So
I do too.
I've got a bachelor's.
I was a semester away from being a double major.
Oh, I got a major.
But I don't want to say. I don't want to say another semester to
A lot of people go to college for 7 years.
They're called doctors.
Called doctors. Or my friend Jake. That was just late in turning in all of his stuff, so he had to be forced to get another major.
What was your minor?
History.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was so my major I had to declare a minor with. It was kind of unique. So yeah, I went with history just because I like history and that. So, but if I could, I've always said this. If I could, I would actually go back to school and try to get a degree in history. I would like to teach like sports history.
History was like one of my favorite subjects.
Like I'm extremely jealous that UW Green Bay students right now could take a class that's taught by the Packers curator at the Hall of Fame.
That's cool.
It's a Packers history class. I would love, that's like my life goal, is to teach a sports history class. I don't care if it's one time a week. I would love in 30 minutes. That's my life goal. That's my life goal to do something like that.
Next April when we're in Green Bay, you should see if you can get him on the show.
He's actually, I do have a connection with him actually. And he graduated UW Eau Claire. And he's from Black River Falls.
Come on. We can make this happen.
Oh, yeah. Yep. So, yeah, I'm going to. I didn't even think of that. It's a good idea. That is a very good idea. I do have a connection because I did talk to somebody who also works for the Packers there. Mentioned him. And all right. Good idea. Got to get our lineup of guests. Dion, if you're listening. Dion's at the top. If we can get Dion to stop by the Mobile Man Cave, I'm retiring.
My top guest is Sam Congato.
He's a doctor now, dude. He's got other stuff going on right now. We got to come up with our list of people we got to get. We got to come up with a list.
Like our dream list?
Yeah. I know we don't know if they're all going to be there,
right?
But, you know.
And these are like realistic, but also like, well...
Roger Goodell. You know he's going to be there.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's going to be there.
I suppose.
You know, do we put him on the list? Why not? We'll see. It doesn't hurt to try.
So here's what we do.
If we had more of a social media following, maybe.
We come up with our list, and then
us.
like early April, we at these people on social media platforms.
Well, I think we got to start in February.
February? Okay.
Because, again.
After Super Bowl?
Yeah, because, again, we don't have the following on social media for whatever reason. We need the followers. If we have more followers, more attention, boom. So we got to come up with a list. It's in Green Bay. So we got to get some Packers, obviously. See if Jordan Love's in town.
DP and the Danettes going to be in Green Bay?
Ooh. They don't usually go for the draft.
They don't? Okay. Because, come on.
Well, I know one person who's over there. I don't know if right now he want to do anything. He's struggling right now with his job. Is Doug Gottlieb.
I'm good.
Yeah.
I was going to say if they were over there, but we would almost have to say hello on the Meet Friday.
Yeah. Paulie does follow me on Twitter. Maybe I'll say it.
Well, I remember that he got you to eat because he helped you get the milestones so you ate the hot wings, right?
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, I was telling somebody about this the other day. Oh no, never mind. Totally off topic. I'll tell you later. But no, we got to come up with our go-to list.
Okay, I'll start thinking about who would be.
I don't care how big they are. We're gonna try.
Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna have people. I'm gonna have people of all different like popularity.
Shador, Travis Hunter,
Wayne. I'll put Wayne Larrabee on my list. I'd love to talk to Wayne Larrabee.
Oh, I've had him on.
I'd like to talk to him.
Yeah, Wayne actually responded to it a couple years ago when we were over there. So yeah, we'll get Wayne. Put him on there.
I'll put him on my list.
Put Wayne on there. Yep. We'll put Wayne on there for sure. So yeah, we just got to find. First of all, we better find a spot that we can do the show. We got a place, but we got like to sleep. But we got to find a spot to do a show.
So Green Bay, we know you're listening.
Illini Greg, if you're still listening, because he lives over there.
The Pancake Place, my favorite restaurant over there. Come on.
That's going to be packed.
Oh, 100%. Like I'm not even going to try.
You know what would be the goal? It would be sweet. It's not going to happen. We do the program on top of Arians Hill.
I would definitely go down Mark Murphy style.
There would be no snow, but
I don't care.
If we could do it at the top, that view up there, that would be sweet. That would be sweet. That plaza around there is called Hy-Vee Plaza now too. So I mean,
Hy-Vee.
Now, that would be cool. That'd be too cool.
They're Hy-Vee in Green Bay.
Yeah. Ooh. At Schwabenon, but yeah.
Oh.
I think they just opened it actually.
You got connections?
We do have to start working on that Time's a flying.
We
So.
do.
All right, we'll take a quick break here and picks and predicts. College football, NFL, a lot of good stuff. We'll be back in just a few minutes. All right, let's wrap up these shenanigans. And then we're done for Friday, and then we're back at it Monday.
Oh, and it's
John
Monday's.
had a good one. Mel
What?
Kiper.
Yeah, we'll have a pumpkin pie.
Yeah. We'll have a couple versions.
I'm gonna add that to my list.
That's a good one. Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
Now, I will say he's probably not going to be there, but if he was going to be there that we knew, we know.
Shoot your shot.
We know, but I'm saying, you don't know what I'm going to say.
Oh,
If he was there, if he was still doing it, Mike Mayock would be on our list.
yes, he would.
And we would have monkeys and all that trying to make mock draft picks just so he could go all upset on us. If you don't know the story, YouTube it.
YouTube it. Yeah.
YouTube
All right.
it. So
I have now included Mel Kiper Jr. with pumpkin pie.
with pumpkin pie. That's a very, very good one over there too. So, yeah. I'm a big Daniel Jeremiah fan, so we can.
I do like DJ.
I do like DJ
Yep.
too. So
Yep.
I would like to. He probably wouldn't, but I'm a big Rich Eisen fan. If we can get Rich Eisen to stop over there too,
Great. I mean,
so yeah, we'll have an extensive list, but that's a good one. Mel Kiper. Mel.
Oh, Rich is someone we could talk to about the animals making picks.
Yeah,
because he was part of the
DJ too.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I do miss Mike Mayock on
I
draft
do.
coverage. I miss that a lot. He was
always my go-to.
Oh, 100%. I mean, it wasn't a debate. So, all right, let's do some picks and predicts. Brought to you by the Elbow Room in Eau Claire. Hey, tomorrow's a perfect day to maybe pull up a stool and grab some beverages and watch some football with college football and a couple of NFL games on the slate. So if you're looking for somewhere to go do that, you can do that at our good friends, the Elbow Room in Eau Claire. You ready to do some college football picks?
I am.
We're gonna do do you want to do college football playoff or do the other ones first?
Don't matter to me.
Do we have any other good ones? Let me bring up the schedule here. I only had the college football playoff bracket up. Let's go. Let's start it off. You know what? Because we've got some friends down there for this one. Ohio at Jacksonville State.
I want to make sure my picks coordinate with what my picks are. So, in our bowl pick 'em, which you were too good to be a part of, I did go with the Robert Cats.
Okay.
Ohio.
I'm gonna go Ohio as well. Tulane versus Florida.
Gasparilla Bowl. I'm going with Tulane.
I'm going Tulane too. I know Florida has the home field advantage and they're a heavy favorite, but give me the green wave. All right. I'm just kind of going through some. We can pick this one because our favorite team, Coastal Carolina, is in action on Monday. So we'll save that for
the fancy chickens.
Yep. All right. So Indiana at Notre Dame.
Oh man, as much as I want to pick Indiana, I'm going to go Notre Dame. Notre Dame, since that Northern Illinois loss, has been playing really well.
I want to back up a little bit. What the heck happened to Army, by the way, last week?
In a rivalry game, you never know. You never know. The thing that's stunned me the most, the overhit.
Yeah.
For the first time in a long time, I believe.
I think Dan Fouts said it best. Last game of the season.
Can't hold anything back.
Can't hold anything back. I want to pick Indiana. I really want to pick Indiana. I was going to pick Indiana, but I'll pick Notre Dame. But go Indiana. SMU Penn State.
This is of the four matchups. This is the one I actually thought about the most.
Really? Okay.
I'm pulling for SMU big time in this. I just can't do it. So I'm going to go Penn State.
Yeah, I'm going to go Penn State too. I'm going to go Penn State as well. So let's do, what's the next one?
Clemson, Texas.
Clemson, Texas.
Good. I'm going to go Texas in this one. Clemson, good on you. You won you had to work to get in there. They got some momentum right now, but I'm going to go Texas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Texas. Texas. I'm a little higher on Texas. You'll see on this thing. Tennessee, Ohio State, probably really having a close game over there.
I'm gonna go Tennessee.
Ooh.
Just to add a little more fuel to the Ryan Day fire, I'm saying Tennessee wins this.
Okay, so I'll ask you this because I threw this out in the first hour. If Ohio State loses, do they fire Ryan Day? That's a Michigan loss, and now it's for a loss right away again. Because there's one guy out there. Would they bring back Mike Vrabel?
He would immediately be the favorite.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say they don't. But the calls would be pretty loud for it.
Yeah. What if Ohio State gets dominated, though?
Then maybe.
Yeah.
If they get just run out of the building at home against Tennessee after what happened with Michigan, then yes.
I'm going Ohio State for my pick. So then, because we're going to do this whole bracket before we get to the NFL picks here, that would be, we both have Texas taking on Arizona State. I'm going to go from top to bottom now. Who do you got?
In that case, I'm actually going Arizona State.
You know what? Credit to Arizona State for all the
Kenny
crap.
Dillingham. Yeah. Kenny Dillingham.
Mm-hmm. For all the stuff that was going on and financial, for them to be in this, that's, I think they kind of like, oh wow, Sun Devils, and then the whole Herm
in that case, I'm going to take Arizona State.
All right, I'm going Texas though. I'm going to go with them in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. That is the Rose Bowl. Then you'd have Tennessee. I have Ohio State taking on Oregon.
I'll go Oregon.
I'm going to go Oregon too. The Fiesta Bowl. We both have Penn State versus Boise State.
I'm going to take Penn State.
Yeah, Penn State as well. And then in the Sugar Bowl, Notre Dame versus Georgia.
I'm going to go Notre Dame.
You're going to lose.
I know. I'm picking this to win, not to finish fourth.
This would be the biggest win in Notre Dame history.
Since Lou Holtz was there.
I mean, God, that would buck that trend that they get into these bowl games and they can't do anything. I'm going Georgia. I'm going to go Georgia. So let's go back to the top. You have Arizona State versus Oregon.
Oregon. Whole Pac-12 matchup.
I got Texas versus Oregon. I'll go Oregon in this one. You have Penn State versus Notre Dame. I have Penn State versus Georgia.
And I'm going to go Notre Dame again.
Okay. So I'm going to go Penn State over Georgia. So then I had to put one upset in this thing. Otherwise, it was too chalky. So you've got Notre Dame versus Oregon for the national championship.
I do.
Do it one more time, man.
I got Oregon. It's the interesting thing.
I should have did picks now because
the interesting thing though is in the picks, like you don't pick. Like my pick says Indiana / Notre Dame / Georgia.
That's right.
So I have my out.
Mm-hmm, you do.
As long as you weren't listening.
I'm going Oregon over Penn State. So let's do some NFL picks because we only got 4 minutes to cruise through here.
Awesome.
So did you get the one last night right?
I did.
Oh, dang it. I did too. So hoping to.
That's poor sportsmanship.
It's competitiveness, man. It's competitiveness. Let's go Texans at the Chiefs.
Chiefs.
I'll go Chiefs even if Patrick Mahomes is only playing with one leg right now. Steelers, Ravens.
I almost wanted to go Steelers because they give the Ravens a lot of trouble, but I'm going to go Ravens in this one.
I'm surprised the Ravens are favored almost by a touchdown.
I am too.
But I'm going to go Ravens as well. Browns at Bengals. Bengals. Giants. Michael Penix Jr.
I'm going to go Falcons. That's at home.
I'm going to go Falcons too. Cardinals, Panthers.
Cardinals.
Lions, Bears. Are you
Lions?
Also going to? No. Yeah, I'm not either. I don't care how banged up Detroit is. Does anybody not watch how bad Chicago's been the last couple of weeks too?
Caleb Williams isn't seeing ghosts. He's not seeing anything.
Yeah. I'm going Detroit. Tennessee versus the Colts.
Colts.
Rams, Jets.
Interesting one, but I'm going to go Rams.
Rams too. Eagles, Commanders.
Eagles.
Man, we got every single pick so far.
I know we do.
Vikings, Seahawks.
This is one I've actually been worried about. Vikings on short week, traveling west against the Seattle team.
Coming off a loss.
Looking bad in the loss, fighting for its life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go Seattle.
Ooh, I think Seattle can win this, but I'm going to pick Minnesota.
I hope you're right.
I hope I'm wrong in this one. Patriots, Bills.
I will say I'm a little concerned coming off a big emotional win. Is there a bit of a letdown? But I don't think New England's good enough to capitalize off that letdown.
The game that will probably be like the best one, but it's like
Tank Bowl.
Jaguars, Raiders.
I'm going to go Jaguars.
I'm going Jaguars too. 49ers, Dolphins.
In the battle of why aren't they betters?
Yeah.
I'm going to go Niners.
Dolphins, I think, should win, but I'm going 49ers. Buccaneers, Cowboys.
Buccaneers.
Bucks.
They're a scary team. I do not want to play the Buccaneers in the playoffs.
Saints, Packers. Not only pick a win, but the Packers covered by 14. That's the line right now.
I'm trying to remember what I'm going to say Packers win. I'm going to say they don't cover, but it's like 13. I think they win this game comfortably.
I think they win, and I think they cover. Spencer Rattler's quarterback. Alvin Kamara is not going to play, it sounds like. So
I
don't screw around. Just from start to the end, shut it down.
Spencer Rattler doesn't strike me as the type of guy that can go win in the cold.
Yeah, and if there is going to be a little snow going on there too. Green Bay was practicing in a winter wonderland yesterday. That was cool pictures, by the way. So, all right, those are our picks and So we only got one different one there.
And it's the Vikings.
It's the Vikings one. Like, how does that work out? So, but I think more people. Oh, Brandon, you did move up a little bit. So some people didn't even make picks, or they picked the Broncos. So you're in third, but you're 3 back from me. I'm in second right now. Jolene and Garrett are tied for first at 164. So we'll have to have a little battle between you and me in these final few weeks.
Guess
we have to switch it up if you want to catch up to me, man. So, all right, we got a minute left. Reminder: Monday, we're going to be at VFW Post 305 on Star Avenue. VFW is going to open up at about 6:30, a little earlier. So stop on by, hang out with us. We'll have some speakers up so you can hear our nonsense. We'll do airing of grievances around 7:30, 7:40.
A little earlier than normal, but because we have
to follow the Frank Costanzo one, Feats of Strength is at 8:05.
Right at the top of hour 3.
Yep. So stop on by. We'll do that. Plus, we might be giving away some Man Cave Light 6-packs. So make sure you're tuning in to Monday, and we're stopping by on Monday too for that. So should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. And then that'll be our last program for a few days because of Christmas break and that.
Yep.
So plus Packers play that night, so we got plenty to talk about.
Come on out.
I thought you just said I'm out.
No, come on out.
I was like, no, I'm not coming. So one of our contestants too, by the way, for our feats of strength is going to that game, so he might be in some pain while he goes to Lambeau Field on a 3-hour drive to the east.
Couple stops along the way.
Yep. Have a good weekend. DP Danitz up next. Talk to you later.